Hello, everybody, and welcome to Stumptcast. As you can tell, I've got a cold, so bear with me. I'm going to be sounding a little bit raspy this week. But with that being said, welcome to another thrilling podcast. Say hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. This podcast is going to be our year in review podcast.
Yay. All right.
This you should be getting right before the new year, this episode. So Happy New Year, everybody.
Yay.
Happy New Year.
Woo.
So let's start like we always start. How's your week, everybody? Price, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, my week's been pretty good. I mean, obviously, I've been doing the same stuff as usual, playing a lot of Binding of Isaac and all that kind of stuff. But I also did decide to pick up a game that I'd had sitting in my Steam queue for forever, and I never got around to finishing it, which was The Wolf Among Us.
Yeah.
And I played the first episode right when it came out, which I think was in like July of last year. But it's one of those Telltale games, so it's episodic and everything like that. And so they announced the new Minecraft Telltale game, and they just came out with the Game of Thrones one and the Tales from the Borderlands. So, like, it's been like popping up in my head, like, yeah, I would like to play through another Telltale game. Those are fun.
Sure.
So I reinstalled it and I started playing it again, and I just tore through it. It's such a good game. Like,
it really
the setting
is.
is great. The characters are great. Like, the soundtrack. I mean, everything about it is just fantastic. I would absolutely suggest it to anyone who likes adventure type games.
I think Telltale does a really good job at capturing the essence of the environment of the product that they are.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you can see, like, that's why people keep giving them properties, because it's like they know how to really tell the story in it, which makes me think that, like, that Minecraft one that they're going to do, as weird as it sounds to me, and like...
Both Jasmine talked about how weird that is because Minecraft doesn't have a story, and I said to her that Lego doesn't have a story, and they made a Lego movie.
Sure.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think what it comes down to is like, how much do the people who write the stories at Telltale rely on the source material? And I think everything that we've seen so far says they don't rely on it at all. They come up with their entirely own stories. They just use like the littlest pieces of, like, maybe if there's characters that they bring in, like I think the Game of Thrones one, it's like, it's all characters from the books.
Right.
But the story is completely ancillary, right?
Yeah, because I bought Tales from the Borderlands, and they do use the canon that's already in there, but they create their own characters to make a story, and it's pretty fucking hilarious, you know?
And if you think about, like, The Walking Dead, it's like that one wasn't one of the stories from the comics. That was their own original story, and it was amazing. I mean, that one, that's what launched this whole Telltale revolution, right?
It makes me wonder.
Fantastic.
It makes me wonder what they're going to use as the storyline for the Minecraft one.
Well,
I imagine it's going to be Herobrine.
Well, the one thing that they had said was that they won't be using Steve. Like, Steve will not be in it.
Right.
I think part of that is probably Microsoft is like, no, we're going to tell the Steve story when we make the Minecraft movie.
Yeah.
And the other part is like, it gives them a little more leeway to be like, okay, we're not using any characters, not like a hero. They can come up with their own sets of characters or things like that, you know.
Right.
What if it's like the story of being a creeper?
That's what I was just thinking of, you know.
Oh, man.
That'd be really funny.
Would be really funny, you know?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, just giving some more character to it. And I think it'll be an exciting way of re-experiencing Minecraft. I'm skeptical because I feel like there's got to be a point at which they cannot keep handling this many properties at once. But at the same time, they seem to be doing it so far. So
Their track record speaks for themselves at this point.
So far, every single one of their games that I've played has been great, and all the ones I've seen, like, as far as reviews go, are all fantastic. So,
Right.
So yeah, Wolf Among Us is fantastic. If you never played it, it's amazing.
I need
really
to.
Fantastic.
I haven't played it.
Yeah, I haven't either.
That's good.
To be honest.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Jasmine?
Jess, how's your week?
Batman.
Oh,
All
my
Batman.
God.
So
Gosh,
Batman's
she
on
really
Netflix. So basically, I rendering Grimrock takes a lot out of my computer. So what I end up doing is I end up just walking away from computer and just trying to find something to do. Lately, I've just been watching Netflix, and Netflix has Batman. So my week and the last week has been nothing but watching Batman.
You know this if you've been following her on Twitter.
It's been nothing but Batman and singing Kiss from a Rose.
And trying to convince us that Batman and Robin is a good movie.
Well, no, they don't have Batman and Robin on Netflix. They got
it's coming
the Batman from '89. They got the Batman Returns, and then Batman Forever.
But you were trying to convince us that Batman and Robin
I thought, it would be nice to round out my week by finishing it with Batman and Robin.
It comes to Netflix in January.
Yeah.
Thank
Oh,
God.
good.
I saw a list of
Thank
like all the things
God.
coming out in January. And it's
No.
like Batman and Robin was
Then I have to
Ash
sit
has to
through
watch it.
the crappy Arnold Schwarzenegger Batman.
the worst of the Batman.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. Come on, shut up. You guys don't know what you're talking about.
I think I remember reading that Michael Keaton turned down $15 million to play in Batman and Robin.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I mean, he
Wow.
wanted to stay with Tim Burton because Tim Burton has his own style. Joel
Right.
Schumacher obviously has like his own
He's just a
crazy style. And I know he apologized for it
sellout.
later,
yeah.
but it just was like the tone that changed from Returns to Forever was just insane.
It went from like dark and stylish to campy.
Zany
Yeah,
and
like zany.
Yet
campy.
you can't wait to watch it.
I don't care.
But
But
you
yeah,
recognize it's a bad movie.
But-
I go watch The Room on purpose.
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right?
but I was watching the first one, the one from '89.
Uh-huh.
I forgot that Billy D. Williams played Harvey Dent.
Oh, yeah.
In the 89 one?
Yeah.
Oh.
That would have been a really
And so,
interesting Harvey Dent. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
A really interesting
Yeah.
Two-Face if they eventually continued with
Yeah.
Tim Burton. And
Yeah.
I will
Could you
say that-
imagine how suave and fucking awesome he would
that
have
would have
been?
been great, but I will say that Tommy Lee Jones wasn't a bad choice for
No,
TV.
he
No.
wasn't,
It was
but
just bad direction and
Yeah.
writing.
it was really
you know?
bad direction. And then on top of that, I think he had to compete, or not compete, but just keep up with
Yeah,
Jim
yeah,
Carrey.
yeah.
Because Jim Carrey really carried that movie.
and
He's
it's
got
like,
charisma on
why?
his face, yeah.
Already in Batman Returns, you've got Catwoman and the Penguin.
Yeah.
You've got two,
Villains.
villains.
Yeah.
And that's already spreading it, a little thin.
Mhm.
When you've got four in Batman and Robin, you've got what?
Bane, Poison Ivy.
5.
Yep.
Okay. Because you've got the Riddler.
No, that's Batman
No.
Forever. You're combining two together.
I am combining two together.
Yeah.
You're
So
right.
no, Batman Forever is just two. It was the Riddler and
Two-Face.
Two-Face.
and then
Batman Forever had Bane, Poison
Batman,
Ivy, and
Robin.
then
Batman and Robin.
That's right.
Had Bane. Poison
Those
Ivy,
two
and
movies have just become one in my mind.
that's because they're so weird.
They're
and,
so
Yeah.
similar. And awful.
But I will say, just while we're on this tangent, do you guys recall all the freaking controversy over how much Jim Carrey got paid to
No.
be Riddler? He got paid more than any other actor in any other movie.
Wow.
$20 million
Wow.
to be the Riddler. And at the time, there was all these interviews, like with, walking up to people on the street that had just come out of the theater saying, do you think his performance was worth $20 million?
Yeah.
And,
What did
And-
they say?
a lot of
What'd they
people
say?
really liked it.
Yeah.
I will say he didn't do a terrible job for what he was paid to do. He did what he was paid to
Yeah.
do, and he did
Yeah.
it well. It just
For sure.
like it was a shitty movie.
Right.
I wonder
Carrey's
how much
not
of
a
that $20
bad
million
actor.
went into
Yeah.
that bright, like diamond spandex he wore at the end of the movie.
For sure.
It was a good movie. It was fun. I
not a
just
good
like
movie.
campy movies. I especially like Christmas movies around the time, like watching really
Have
funny
you watched
stuff.
Die Hard yet?
She
I
has
want
not-
to.
She has not watched
I
it.
keep,
Countdown to
I
Die
keep telling
Hard.
Ash we need to watch it. We can probably watch it tomorrow.
Our week's been busy. Our week's been really busy. We've barely had
Super
times to. We haven't even really cooked dinner for real this week, just because we've been rendering and editing and
Like-
playing Grimrock and
It's just we get off of work at 5. We come home. Immediately we're editing.
Mhm.
And then we're immediately we're rendering.
Yeah.
And then we were like, okay, we got to set it up for the next one. It's just nonstop.
yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
One day we'll be rich and famous, and we'll hire people,
We'll
to
hire
do these
people to
things
do it
for
for
us.
that's right.
Mhm.
But until then,
Rick's
Rick,
how's
how's your week been? You're obviously a little under the weather.
yeah, I went home from work early yesterday because I got the sniffles.
Oh.
But it's okay.
But he doesn't let it stop him from stumping.
That's right.
I'm just gonna get good and drunk tonight.
He's got the radio
Where's
voice.
behind me. That's right. It's my suave radio voice.
It says Billy D.
No, I've been obviously playing This War of Mine all week. I really love the game. I can only play it when I'm recording because you can only play one save at a time.
That's hard.
You can't
that
play
sucks.
several games at a time. So I really want to play the game more, and it's tough too because I got a lot of comments saying like, you need to use Katya to trade, and you guys are absolutely right. I do, but it's like I'm pretty inexperienced when it comes to this game. What you've seen me play is all I've played.
Yep.
Because I can't play it when I'm not recording. I can't start another game, which sucks. I really want to play it more. Other than that, I think I finally capped on how much enjoyment I can get out of Civ Beyond Earth. It's just not fun. I don't even know.
We'll talk about it a little bit more later about that.
I think I'm just back to playing Civ 5 forever. Forever.
For sure.
Other than that, I got my my Amazon Fire Stick in the mail this week.
Nice.
How do you like that as compared to something like the Chromecast?
Dude, I dig it because basically it has everything Chromecast has plus Amazon Prime.
Right.
So if you've got an Amazon Prime account, it's got it comes with a remote, so it's got like a nice interface.
Yeah.
And they've got all the HBO series now exclusive to Amazon Prime. So I've been catching up on The Wire.
Nice.
This is starting to sound like a little commercial.
You can play Fibbage on the Amazon.
Oh, can you?
Oh yeah,
really?
you can play games on it
So
too.
I've got one coming in the mail. It's not going
Nice.
to get here until like January or something. I think they've been over.
This is a free plug for Amazon. You get a free one this time, but next time we want you guys to pay us.
It's funny,
okay?
like
right.
we always talk about stuff that we like, and it does really sound like
Amazon,
we're fucking-
our new sponsor, Amazon, because we're
Yep.
that big.
No, it's not true.
We're that
It's not
big.
true at all. We are not being paid by Amazon.
I wish I could.
I
get
got
that
paid
wish
by
we could get
Amazon.
Amazon
I got
money.
like $10.
Lies.
I
You
wasn't-
returned something.
I
and got
wasn't a
$10
really
back.
good negotiator.
Right.
I got $10 and a free Amazon Prime.
I had to pay them $10 to give me the thing.
They gave me free shipping though.
It's called buying.
Yeah. I paid them this thing, and I got this thing in return. I don't know how they do it.
Oh man.
In 2
shit.
days too.
Oh God. One more thing about Amazon, then I'll get off it. They got this new service that's rolling out in New York where it's like Amazon Instant, and you can get an hour delivery.
Yeah, the drones.
What?
No, they're
it's not drones.
It's
No?
bike couriers.
Oh wow.
Bike couriers will deliver certain things to you in an
And
hour.
for a while, I know in a few cities they've at least had same day delivery.
Yeah.
I think they've had that in New York for a while, but they've also had same day in Seattle and in LA, I think,
Right.
or
Yeah.
San Fran.
Yeah, you have to live close to one of those.
Exactly. You got to be living next to one of the
Yeah.
distribution centers, and it has to be probably like certain products that are
Right.
like high volume.
Exactly.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. It's one step closer to
Teleportation.
Pretty much. Yeah. So that's pretty much my week, I think.
I remember. Do you guys remember a Portland-based service called Cosmo that did the same thing?
Yep,
No.
I remember Cosmo.
No.
Cosmo. They launched in like 10 cities in America. They had a bunch of like a fleet of people on little motor scooters, and they advertised. I think it was an hour delivery.
Wow.
And people would like order anything like toilet paper.
You can order groceries from them and Hollywood video stuff from them, and I can't recall. They had some sort of hot food as well. They went out of business
Of course.
within 3 months.
Yeah.
But I used the hell out of them.
Yeah?
While it was
Would they deliver booze?
I don't think so.
This is a long time ago. This is before.
Yeah, this was like 2000.
This is before you were
4.
of drinking age.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2004, I think. Is the year I graduated.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There you have it, folks. That's our week in a nutshell. Which means, moving on to the next part.
Hey everybody, it's the Marvel Minute!
Okay, so today's Marvel Minute. We've got kind of two big ticket items that I want to talk about that have come about. One is floating in the wake of the Sony hacks. There were a bunch of emails that were released having to do with the property of Spider-Man. So for those of y'all who don't know, Spider-Man is not currently owned by Marvel Studios as far as for the film rights. It is actually owned by Sony Pictures. So they're the ones who have released the Amazing Spider-Man movies, the original Spider-Man movies. They have a whole bunch of other movies that they have planned. But it's one of those properties that a lot of people, especially people who aren't aware of all of the issues with rights, have been like, why isn't Spider-Man in the, Avengers movies? Like, Spider-Man's a big-time Avenger. Why isn't he popping up in all these other kinds of properties? And it's because, Sony has the rights to them, so technically Marvel couldn't use them. Well, turns out that for a while now, Marvel and Sony have actually been in talks, and these emails have now been released and have surfaced, in order to try and share the control of Spider-Man. And so essentially what it sounds like is when Marvel was coming up with this idea of doing Civil War for Captain America, when they were first tossing around the idea, they were like, hey, Spider-Man's a huge part of Civil War in the comics. He's kind of like one of like the middle zone catalysts of the war. And he kind of goes from both sides. And so he's kind of your point, like your entry to this. And so they were trying to get Spider-Man. And so they were essentially saying like, look, we'll make the movie, we'll do all this kind of stuff. I think they had said, like, we'll do like a 60-40 split. Marvel keeps 60, Sony keeps 40, and they split all the costs in that same manner. And so, it would be a win-win for everybody. Marvel wouldn't make as much money off of their movie as they normally would have. Sony would be getting to make some money off of a movie that they had nothing to do with.
Right.
But Sony wasn't okay with the split. that Marvel came up with. So there was a lot of arguing back and forth, and eventually these things fell through. One of the big things about what Marvel was saying, though, which I think is exactly right, was they said like several things. They were like, okay, Andrew Garfield's out. Because we don't want to be tied to your movies. We want it to be a completely different Spider-Man because we don't like what you guys have done, essentially is what they said.
Right.
We don't want any of that baggage to be attached to our films.
Right.
Two, yes, this would be a relaunching of the character, but we wouldn't redo the origin story because people are bored with it. They already know it. We don't need to see it again.
Right.
Three, we're not going to focus on the romance as the central part, which is what they've been definitely doing in all of the Spider-Man movies up
Every
until this
single
point.
one.
It's always a romance movie, like first. And they're like, no one really wants that. What people want to see is the romance is a part of it. It's certainly a part of Peter Parker's character, but it's more about him living this double life of being a teenager while also being a superhero. And so they essentially said like all of the things that if you would ask me, like, what would you do to make a Spider-Man movie? I'd be like, yeah, I wouldn't do an origin story. I would focus on him as Peter Parker in this dual life. And I would, try and lose all the baggage of all the other films because they're just garbage up until this point.
Right.
So, Marvel essentially had said like, yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to just eject this stuff. So we were close. We almost had Spider-Man in the Avengers. Like he was right on that cusp. And
Yeah.
it sounds like Sony got a little too greedy. Like they essentially said like, no, we can start our own magical universe. And so now they're going to make all their Sinister Six movies and Spider-Woman and all these other spider properties. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, the only interesting thing about Spider-Man is like the main Spider-Man set.
Right.
As cool as you may think Venom is, Venom cannot carry a film. All right. There were some good solo Venom comics, but usually they had to do with him interacting with Spider-Man.
Right.
Most of the secondary characters in Spider-Man are only interesting in Spider-Man.
Right.
So, what do you guys think about that? I mean, like Spider-Man maybe popping up with Captain America.
I mean, that would have been awesome, but again, it's one of those far-fetched things that I see these two giant money-making corporations, and I just don't ever see them actually agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a fan of the Civil War series, I know what an important role that Spider-Man did play, so it would have been awesome to see him in that story. Because he was that,
First
that
he was
fence-sitting character, He wasn't really sure if he wanted to go with Stark or with Captain.
And it's like he started with Stark, and like Stark gave him like the Iron Spider suit, which would be so badass to see on screen. And then eventually he wises up and he goes over with Cap because Cap's on the side of good.
Right.
And like it's just it's such a great arc because he makes both sides more sympathetic by kind of being, in between them.
He's kind of like our what's the word I'm looking for?
Our point of entry,
our point of view. That's not really the word, but that'll work.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, that's what happened with Spider-Man, which is really interesting to see all that stuff come out. It's a shame that they couldn't figure it out. I also didn't think they ever would. There were little rumors of it up until then, and I basically said like, there's no way Sony will ever go for it because they think that they've got a golden goose and they're not going to get rid of it until it's gone. Because it's Sony. They don't have anything else other than Bond.
Do they own Bond still?
I think so, don't they?
I think so.
I think that's like their one thing. Skyfall was like their only big movie.
I couldn't remember who bought Bond from MGM.
Okay.
So
Sony.
Okay.
Sony.
The next Bond movie should be
Spectre.
incredible, too.
Yeah, looks good.
It looks good because it's directed by the same guy and everything.
Yep.
But Spider-Man is literally their only other property. And to be fair, at the time, it was the biggest movie ever made. Made the most money. Yeah.
Let's not just count Adam Sandler, you guys.
There was a lot of emails leaked around that as well.
Yeah. We talked about that on the last podcast. Yeah. Okay. So outside of that, what we also had a few weeks ago was the mid-season finale of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, which does take place within the same Marvel Cinematic Universe. And some things happened in it that are really crucial and they kind of play a lot into some of the movies that are coming out. It's actually kind of shocking that they like already did this. So I'm just going to put a big spoiler tag on the next probably 5 minutes. So just if you don't want to hear anything about the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., finale, cover your ears.
Skip ahead.
You guys, by the time you watch it, you'll have forgotten what I've said.
I'll put a mark in it to say skip ahead to this point if you don't want it.
So here's what happened. All this season, they've been chasing down this object. I think they're calling it the obelisk or something like that. And it's this little metal kind of, obelisk, weird shaped thing. And if a human touches it, they get poisoned and die. They turn to stone. Okay. But there are some people who can touch it and it actually like activates. It kind of like glows and all this kind of stuff. And they've been slowly leaving these hints that, oh, this was left by an ancient civilization. Oh, it's all blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And in the finale, what we find out is they take this to an underground, like ancient ruins place that they've been hunting for this whole time. And the character Sky and this other like kind of sort of off and on villain character Reyna take it into this temple area. Sky's trying to get it away so they can get it out of there because she thinks it's some kind of dangerous device that's going to cause like destruction of the earth. And, Reyna is like, no, I want to know what this is going to do. So they take it into this chamber. And when they get it there, there's like this pedestal that they put it on. That Reyna puts it on, and then all of a sudden all the walls start like closing around them and it gets all like intense and starts to like glow, and then it opens up and it's this little crystal inside of it. And the crystal lets out like a shock of mist, like all this mist flies out everywhere, and suddenly you see like Reyna and Sky both kind of like inhale it, and then they slowly start to like get encased in this like cocoon type thing, and then they're kind of there hanging for a little bit, and then they both like burst out of their cocoons. Okay. And Reyna, you get a couple of glances of, and she's now got like quills all over her skin and stuff like that. She looks kind of like beastly and whatnot. And Sky does this kind of like, seismic like explosion out of her body, or like essentially creating an earthquake with her body. The other reveal that we got earlier in the episode was that we find out her real name, because she was adopted, find out her real name is Daisy. So the combination of those two things happening together, it turns out that Sky is essentially this kind of lower tier character called Daisy Johnson, who is a SHIELD member who has superpowers, who also goes by the name of Quake. And so she has like earthquake powers, seismic powers. But the mists in that crystal, what that is essentially, it's called the Terrigen Mists, and it is the entire basis of the Inhumans. So the Inhumans is one of those movies that's coming in 2018, I think.
Oh, is that the one where they like can make people with
where they can
superpowers?
turn people into things with superpowers. And it's a big, huge thing for them to start injecting into Marvel now, because a lot of people think that that's going to be how they explain Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in the Avengers, in Age of Ultron. It's a way for them to jumpstart a lot of characters, especially ones that would, essentially, so Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, I think, when they made the X-Men, they essentially said, we're tired of having to give an origin story for literally every character we come up with. So they invented the mutants. Like, that's what the X-Men was for. It was so we can now make villains, heroes, everybody, and all you have to say is they're a mutant.
Right.
Period. And they've got this power, and, when you say they're a mutant, you can imply everything else about it.
Right.
The Terrigen Mists are the same thing. You can say, yep, they went through the Terrigen Mists, they came out the other side, and now they've got this awesome power.
Right.
So a lot of people think that going forward in the MCU, Marvel's going to be using these Terrigen Mists in order to just jumpstart a lot of characters. We might even see it with some of the Netflix series if they're like, yeah, Jessica Jones, we don't have to do the whole like, hey, look, her origin story is a lot like Daredevil's with this radioactive waste, blah, 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 whatever. We just like, oh no, Terrigen Mist. She got exposed to it and now she's super strong.
So what determines what special power somebody would have?
It's up in the air. Yeah, it really
is
like
it
the
some
whole
like secret
point
that's locked within them, or is it?
So
just
you
random?
have to be susceptible. Like you have to be like there's something genetically a part of you that makes you, an inhuman.
Right.
All right. So it could be like you have family members who are inhuman, or you just happen
got some
to be,
recessive gene.
There's some
that's
gene
being
in there
activated.
that needs to be activated by the mists. But as far as what it becomes, is who knows, right? You go into it knowing that you have no idea what's going to come out the other side. So in the Inhumans, there's this whole culture of like, oh, you come to a certain age, you go through the Terrigen Mists, and then you become a true Inhuman. And then sometimes on Earth, it happens where it's just like is an accidental thing. It was actually used as a weapon once where someone like released Terrigen Mist in the atmosphere and turned a whole bunch of people into Inhumans. And then if regular people get exposed to it in the comics, it usually is just like nothing happens. Like it's just like, oh yeah, you're just regular. Doesn't matter. But it looks like, because it did actually kill somebody in the show. So it's kind of like, it looks like they're changing it a little bit. But anyways, they have softly jump-started the Inhumans like 4 years before that movie even comes out. Which is a really interesting thing for them to do so early on. You know, like you would expect them to do that in that movie.
Right.
But they're already starting it. So we might be seeing some Inhumans popping up and stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and whatnot way before that movie comes out.
Cool.
But anyway, I've already gone on for quite a little bit of time, but those were the two big things that kind of popped up in recent weeks. And I thought like, it's pretty exciting. Inhumans and maybe Spider-Man, but not yet.
That's some good shit. Thank you. All right, so meat and potatoes of this episode. This is the year in review. We're going to talk about all the exciting news related things that happened throughout the year. Take it month by month and sort of see what happened this year. So, naturally started in January,
January
2014. I've got some top news here. So, if you remember, China lifted their 14-year-old ban on gaming consoles in January.
I did not remember that.
Yeah,
I
didn't
did
know
not
that,
remember that either. But you know what?
Good for them.
Looking back, that was the biggest news during that month.
And that's really a huge thing because if you think about it, China's a massive market.
Right.
Like, as far as, like, game developers and whatnot are concerned, like, you just opened up 1 billion potential users.
Exactly.
For
yeah.
sure.
It's a communist nation that is becoming more and more capitalist, They opened the market to Sony, to Microsoft. That was pretty big news. Also, Turtle Rock Studios announced Evolve back in January.
I'm so excited for that game.
So stoked for Evolve, you guys.
Yep.
And the PS4 topped the Xbox One in sales back in January.
And it still does.
Sony fanboys.
I remember the South Park episode dealing with the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was Game of Thrones style, all about
Oh, yeah.
Black Friday.
Oh yeah, that was the impetus for Stick of Truth,
Yeah.
Right.
which also came out this year. We'll talk
Great
about
game,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So notable game releases. I try to include games that we'd played first and foremost. So Don't Starve came to the console back in January.
Very
I
cool.
wonder how that works.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm so used to it on the PC.
Yeah, I mean, they've also got Minecraft on the console.
Yeah.
so-
I wonder how that one works too.
yeah.
You got Tiny Brains was released.
That was a great game.
We played Tiny Brains. We loved Tiny
It was
Brains.
a ton of fun.
It was
a ton of fun.
a great game, and I honestly
It
hope
was a
that-
great co-op game.
Yeah.
It was a great co-op game.
Octodad back in January and
Oh,
Broken
yeah.
Age 1.
Dad
Or
Leads.
Broken
I
Age
love
1.
Broken Age, and I am really excited for the next one.
Yeah.
Wow, is
Yeah.
there any kind of release date on the second act to Broken Age? I can't believe it's been almost a year.
I know, it's been
But
almost a year.
It's only a 2-act game.
It's
though,
a 2-act game.
Okay.
They're just finishing, I think they already finished Elijah Wood portions of it.
Right? Okay.
So
The other half.
I imagine the other half's going to come really
Yeah,
early,
okay.
2016 or 2015. Excuse me.
2015, yeah.
And back in January, Stumpt was just a thought at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hadn't actually produced anything.
yeah,
That's going to come next month.
I think
right.
in January,
I think-
we'd already talked about it, right? And we had started recording stuff.
Yeah.
we had started recording some things.
Most of that didn't make it to the channel.
Ironically, we recorded our trailer, which featured pretty much exclusively games that we didn't play on.
That's
the
true. We recorded Monaco. We recorded Sanctum 2.
Yep.
We recorded The Ship, which I want to play again.
Ship.
We still
We
could
need
play,
more
yeah.
players.
And it was mostly just a learning experience because we had audio problems and video problems and stuff on all the ones that we didn't use. So
Yeah. And I think only Payday made it through.
I think
the
Payday
original
was the only
recording
one.
session.
Yeah.
Payday was a blast, though. I had a lot of fun playing Payday with you guys.
Yeah.
So, on to February. The big news in February was Irrational Games shut down.
right.
Ken Levine announced that he was laying off all but 15 employees and that they would go on to build something else, but Irrational would no longer be around. That was kind of a bummer.
Honestly, I thought it was fairly brave of Ken Levine.
For sure. For sure.
Because when I heard about, I mean, at the same time, I feel bad because Bioshock Infinite apparently didn't do nearly as well as they
Well,
had.
Which
they
is
spent
crazy.
too much money on it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I had heard that their team got close to 1,000 people, and I was like, "Oh my god,
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's insane!"
You should not have that many people.
Because
on a
on
single video.
paper or from an outsider's perspective, it seemed that Infinite was a success.
Yeah.
It was a hit. It seemed to have sold a lot.
It
but
sold as well as I could have expected it to sell.
Right.
Right?
You don't put, you can't just keep putting more money into it and think that more money's going to magically come
Right.
out of it. It's like there are only so many people who are going to be interested in Bioshock Infinite.
Yeah.
You got them all.
Remember
You tapped
the last
all of
episode
those
when we were
people.
talking about how Atari made 12 million cartridges
of Pac-Man and there
even
were
though there
10
were
million
only
consoles.
7 million
Yeah, yeah,
consoles? Yeah, it's the same thing. It's like your market's only so big, Ken Levine.
But I heard that they were great guys. They let all of the employees chill at their office to work on tech demos and stuff to beef
Sure.
up their resumes
Sure.
and stuff.
And they tried to find them jobs at
At
other
2K,
Yeah.
other positions
Yep.
and stuff like that. Yeah. And I think that, you're right. It was brave. And I think that specifically for Ken Levine to be like, look, I've had some successful games, but I'm a small indie developer and I will always be a small indie developer.
Right.
And you're going to give me 400, 500, 600 people and I'm going to feel weird about it
Yeah.
because I like a small team. I like to make smaller games.
And it's weird. I honestly cannot remember what he did between System Shock 2 and Bioshock.
I think that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I actually I can't recall if he just took a massive break or what.
On Wikipedia, I don't recall seeing anything else on his resume.
Yeah. So I just wonder if he might do the same. Be like, okay, I made this massively successful franchise, and now I'm just going to chill for a few years.
And I would be
come
fine
up with something else. Come up with something smaller.
Yeah.
I think that's his way. Yeah.
So what was released in February? Up note, we've got Thief.
Yeah.
Which we did play for the channel.
We did.
We had a the very beginning, we wanted to jump on Thief.
That was on the very first week of Stumpt.
Yep.
And then we got hit with a bunch of copyright things. We took it off.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's because the music in that one. Like we learned that like Thief was actually a big one for a lot of people for copyright claims.
Yeah.
And especially for a new channel that like we didn't have any history of good.
Not breaking copyright.
Yeah. So YouTube is just like, nope.
And we didn't have our own network yet or anything. We got like
we were alone. How successful were we the first month? We started February 9th of 2014.
That's when the channel was created. We didn't actually start until February 23rd.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, right, because that's when the trailer was released on the 9th, right?
The trailer was released on the 9th. Yeah, I think our first video was the 24th, actually, not the 23rd.
And the top video that month, well, that week, really, right? Broforce with 420 views, a whopping 420 views.
And
we were stoked.
Ecstatic.
People are watching this.
It was amazing.
We also had 30 subscribers.
30 subs, that's right.
I remember being so like watching the Broforce numbers tick up, and probably like 100 of those views were mine.
Yeah.
Watching it, like the numbers go up. Oh god.
What's kind of funny in retrospect, I'm looking at the 30. I put a note. Thanks, Mom, because I know that my mom was one of those 30.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was probably just people we knew at that point.
Yeah, I think that's all friends.
And not even all of our friends, because collectively we have more than 30 friends. Bad friends, because they didn't sub.
Well, I think we also share the same friends.
Yeah, that's true.
But that was also Broforce was, I believe, our first video that day of our first launch to go out, and it has to be one of the worst audio videos that's on our show.
Yeah,
is it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I remember. I mean, for a while, it's hard to remember. It wasn't that long ago. We were just recording on one mic,
in the center
in the middle of us.
There's a blue Yeti microphone, which. Hey, for other YouTubers out there that are using Blue Yeti, don't let me knock it for you, because if you're recording just one person with a Blue Yeti,
it's
great.
perfect.
It's perfect.
It's great. Yeah.
If you're recording a group of people, holy crap.
Yeah,
not so good.
And we're in kind of like a bigger room, and we don't have any kind of soundproofing or anything like that. So it's like the acoustics combined with it.
Yeah, and because it was a USB microphone, especially whenever we screamed, it would clip like crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. Oh, how times have changed. All right, moving on to March. The big stories. Oculus Rift was acquired by Facebook for $2 billion. Holy shit. $2 billion with a B.
That's crazy.
Titanfall beta was released on Valentine's Day, and the world plays Pokemon Red via Twitch back in March.
So the Twitch Plays Pokemon was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It was
has
great.
Spawned a whole like genre, like area of Twitch of X plays X.
Yeah.
And like I watched one that was Fish Plays Street Fighter.
I love that one.
It was amazing. Someone gridded off a fish tank, right?
Right.
And it was like, depending on where the fish was located in the fish tank, it would press a button associated with it. So it'd be like D-pad movements or, a punch button or something like that. And there were two tanks. And so they had two fish essentially fighting each other.
Oh my god.
I feel like they have since had that fish do many different games, many different things. I saw one where they had that fish, depending on where it moved in its tank, would move a Roomba in their actual house.
I think I saw that one too. Yeah. That's so great.
But just what spawned out of the Pokemon, Twitch Plays Pokemon, Omnite, Pidgeys. I mean, they created their own religion.
The Almighty Helix.
It mirrors what we have already.
What's incredible is they have since beaten every Pokemon game, I believe.
Not all of it. They're up through like Ruby Sapphire, I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but yeah, they keep playing them. They keep going.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's statistics is what it is. It's applied statistics. Eventually, it's going to happen. This is like that old saying of like, you put a room full of monkeys with enough typewriters given an infinite amount of time will eventually produce Shakespeare. It's like, exactly. This is it.
They also created the anarchy versus democracy button.
Right.
Basically, like if there is any type of like special thing that they have to pay attention to, it turns into a democracy. And then they all have to vote for what they
Which
want.
one they want, yeah.
And it's just ridiculous. And it's so amazing to me that they've pull that
Yeah,
off.
that was pretty incredible. And explaining that to people who were outside of the gaming community was kind of hard, but necessary.
Yeah.
What is this thing? What is Twitch? What is Pokemon?
Seriously.
So what was released that month? South Park, The Stick of Truth.
Great game.
Which was actually really great.
Yeah, that was one of the games I bought on launch. One of the few games that I just went ahead, just shelled out $60, bought at launch, and I was pretty stoked.
I was the same way. And that game, amazing, but there was so much stuff that shocked me.
Oh, yeah.
There was so much things
pretty
there.
gross.
It was
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
just, yeah.
It is over the top.
The giant evil
Oh, yeah.
fetus Nazi monster
yeah.
boss. was
Yeah.
shocking.
Just the moment you think it can't get any worse.
When you're the underwear elves and you go into
Yeah,
the
you're
dance room
like
and
the
having
balls
sex.
are swinging
Oh,
by.
God.
Oh,
God,
God, that's so
sakes.
bad.
So Dark Souls 2 also released that month.
I was just seconds away from buying that the other day during the winter sale.
Yeah.
And then someone on Reddit mentioned the fact that they're going to re-release Dark Souls 2 for computer, remastered for DirectX 11 with like way crazier graphics and whatnot. And that'll be happening in just like April. So I was like,
Oh, so like, yeah, just wait.
Glad I held
Just
off
wait.
too.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, because I think it was like 33% off today. Towerfall Ascension came out. We had some fun playing Towerfall.
I love Towerfall. That
Yeah.
was a ton of fun.
that was a ton of fun. And there's honestly, that one probably is one of the most surprising ones to me because I was expecting almost nothing from it. I was expecting another Super Smash kind of clone.
Sure.
And to find out that there was an insane amount of variance in it,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
holy crap, this game has more replayability than practically anything.
It was great.
It does.
Yeah, I loved Towerfall.
Yeah,
That
it's
was
a blast. And Infamous Second Son came out. I haven't played that. I did play the first two Infamous, and I really enjoyed them.
I heard Second Son was pretty good. I mean, it was a PS4 semi-launch, not at launch, but close to launch.
I need to get
title,
myself a PS4.
and it was given. Yeah, I think it was supposed to be pretty good.
And the channel stats. So Broforce was still the top video with 286 views in March. And we gained we're up to 59 subscribers.
All right.
So we gained
Okay.
19 in a month.
That's right.
29.
29.
30 to 59.
We can maths. Moving on to April. PAX taking place in Boston.
Always
That Hotline Miami 2 trailer came out and just blew minds.
Oh, man, I'm so excited for
So excited.
They
yeah.
just showed the limited edition set that you can now
the
buy.
vinyl, the
With the
four
vinyls?
vinyls.
With the vinyls.
Yeah, that
and
looks
it hot.
sick.
I want it.
$60 for 4 vinyl is not that bad, actually.
Just as a tangent on that as well, I just read that Moon, the main composers for the first Hotline Miami soundtrack, they were screwed out of payment for playing at a video developers or video game conference because whoever set up the conference just assumed they were playing for free.
What?
So yeah, they played this huge set for this. I forget which conference it was, but they didn't get paid, and now it's like it's blowing
Who
up.
assumes that?
I know.
What are you?
They're like, this is free press,
That is the
essentially, for you.
stupidest thing I've ever heard. In my
Oh,
entire
my
life.
God.
Yeah.
Dear anyone ever, musicians don't just play for free
Exactly.
at some conference, especially if they're musicians of any note.
Yeah.
Which, if you've done the soundtrack to one of like the best soundtracks of a game ever,
Yeah.
you're big. Fucking Hotline Miami soundtrack.
So good.
So
Rarely do
man.
I like actually just sit and listen to a soundtrack from a game sans the game.
Yeah.
That one I did.
For anyone listening to this and you haven't heard that game soundtrack, go look up the track Crystals from that game. By far my favorite track.
It's so good. I can hear it in my head right now.
Yeah.
It's gonna be on the recap. Just click the bottom of the page. It's there. What were released in April? Goat Simulator.
Goat Simulator.
Beloved Goat Simulator. And Titanfall
Man,
finally
Goat
comes out of beta.
Simulator.
It is real deal. And Titanfall, man, it was the shit for a long time and nobody talks about it anymore. Where's Titanfall?
Honestly, I think it was really just like the shit for about a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was big for, I'd say, like a week to a month.
Yeah, that
And it
honeymoon
was-
phase did not last.
It was one of those things where it was just like, it was like kind of like a new Call of Duty with kind of a different thing. But at the end of the day, I think people realized, it still felt like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I think, at the end of the day, they got it right as far as how the game feels.
Yeah,
As far as shooting someone and as far as just the gameplay itself, feels great. There's very little diversity in that game. There's only like 8 maps, and there's only so many different characters, and there's really not much that you can do to customize.
Yeah.
That's too bad. Goat Simulator, though, exploded YouTube. Like,
Yeah.
everybody played Goat Simulator,
Yeah.
including us.
Including us.
We've got a funny video, Ash. just laughing.
Oh, man.
I think literally one of my only single-player videos that's on the channel.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. It was, it was a crazy game.
Guess what our number one video that month was? Civ 5 multiplayer number 1.
Thank you to Civ
871
subreddit.
views.
Yeah.
and we had 169 subscribers.
Yeah, we did.
I think we had to give it up to Reddit for that one.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
all about the subreddit.
Yeah.
Thank you, Civ5 subreddit. You guys are the best.
It's true. That is one of the best communities on Reddit. Everybody's always so helpful.
It's really helpful. Like that's how I learned a lot of how to play Civ.
They don't make you feel like a dick for asking questions.
Yeah. They make you feel like a dick for sharing like glitches. It's
Right.
Like, put that somewhere else.
Yeah. Don't disparage my game. I love this game. Moving on to May. We're about halfway done with the year now, and the big news was Halo 5 was announced. Other than that, not a lot happening in May this year.
Yeah.
However, releases, we've got Transistor was released. I really liked Transistor.
Yeah,
That
Rick
game was
played Transistor
fun.
through. Super cool. And it was from those guys who made Bastion, which is another fantastic game.
Just
both of them fantastic soundtracks.
Yeah.
You know, like
I really thought the story of Transistor really captured me more so than the story of Bastion, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, both terrific games.
great stuff.
Watch Dogs was released. A story about my uncle came out. And Mario Kart 8 released back in May.
Which we still have yet to play.
I really want to play it.
Jazz really wants to play Mario Kart.
Oh, yeah.
I am contemplating a Wii maybe next year.
Yep.
All right.
I heard that Miyamoto was working on the newest console. They said that that Nintendo is in development right now for the next
another one
console.
already.
I know they have.
I mean, to be fair, their Wii U I don't think did nearly as good as
No.
they thought it was going to.
No, but like, does that say like, I guess we should put some more money out and try and make another thing?
Yeah, as long as they make another Zelda, then you know everyone's going to buy it.
They got to keep people buying this shit at this point because they're not staying competitive in the traditional sense. They're trying to innovate, which I give them all the credit in the world for innovating. But it's like it almost seems novel at this point, you know? Like people are like, "Oh, this is great," and then they play it for 2 weeks and then they put it on a shelf.
I think here's one thing that I think Nintendo really needs to get out of their comfort zone with, because sure, they innovate. They have never really figured out how to do networking, like appropriate internet connection and networking. And here's the thing. A big part of why I think the Wii U was silly and why like they could have gotten around a big problem of it is like you can expect that most of the people who are playing your console also have your portable console because those things sell way more. You should have just integrated it so you could connect your 3DS to your Wii or whatever the Wii U was, like the new Wii, and have it use that wirelessly, right?
Yeah.
Don't require me to have this other big component to it because then people get confused as to like, so then what's the new console? I remember a lot of people being confused when the Wii U launched of like, so do I just buy that thing and then I play
tablet?
my Wii with the tablet?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you are buying a new console, but the thing that you don't, that you only ever see is that big tablet. And it's like, figure out a way of communicating to people what it is that they're buying and just take advantage of the stuff they've already got.
Yeah.
To that same effect, I also feel like that's, they had it just because, and they didn't really have any kind of launch titles that really utilized it as more than just something that you can click.
Right.
Which I have that same hatred for the DS for, because I feel like with the DS, you just have that bottom screen, and every once in a while, in Super Mario Brothers, I can just tap that every
It's
once in a
exactly,
while.
it's so you don't have to press pause. Like, I mean,
Right.
it really comes down to it. It's like, I can't look at two screens at once. That's not humanly possible.
Right.
And so I have to pick one. It's like, okay, I look at primary and then look at secondary for a second and go back to primary. So it's like the two screen thing, while they've used it to some effect well with the DS and whatnot, it's like, come up with a new thing. Like, you were really innovative when you made the Wii. You changed the world by making motion gaming fun.
Yeah.
Right? And now it's kind of a part of gaming. The PS4 controllers all have it natively in them. You know, the Kinect came with every Xbox One, even though now you can get it without it, right?
Right.
Because people don't want to be watched all the time.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, though, is like they did change gaming in that way. So innovate in a way that's new rather than saying like, hey, this worked for our Game Boy, let's make it work for our console.
They need to give in and say, you know what, this is a entertainment system. This is, you can stream on this device.
It would be smart. It would, because that's how people use
it's
the
expected these days.
But yeah, I mean, at the same time, if you are going to innovate, then you have to go 100% and get like several dev teams to make something that's truly innovative to take advantage. Because, oh my God, all I want on the Wii U is a Dungeon Master D&D type situation.
That was so good.
Where you could have one person with a tablet controlling the screen and everyone else just looks at the screen.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That was such a perfect concept and no one has made that yet.
It's so frustrating.
Anyway, wild tangent.
Okay, so channel stats for May. Top video, Ice Academy, number 1. Way to go, Price. 1,169 views, and we're up to 347 subscribers.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you guys.
Again, I'd love to thank
all you guys who were there at 347. Thank you.
I'd love to thank the subreddit again, the Isaac subreddit. That's where that all came from.
Yep.
Yeah.
Moving on to June. This is the month for E3 held in Los Angeles. Tech Radar claimed that they'd announced Red Dead 3 at that E3. I don't remember hearing
I haven't heard anything about
Red Dead 3. God damn it.
Nope.
And
Assholes.
Steam releases they delayed the Steam Machine again back in June.
Yeah.
We still haven't heard anything about it.
I mean, you can make your own now.
Yeah.
You can build your own and have the Steam OS.
I'm baffled by I mean, I understand that they've got a Steam controller that they're trying to develop, but I'm pretty baffled by the entire concept because you could just plug in a fucking 360 controller.
Yep.
And bam, you've got.
I think the biggest issue for me is that like they're not significantly cheaper than a PC.
Right.
So really, you're just saying get the Steam OS.
I think what they're trying to accomplish is the ability to stream the games from your main gaming PC to something that is cheaper. And so I feel like that is a fairly niche market where you've got this awesome living room that you, for some reason, don't have any other gaming consoles on.
Sure.
And you've got this awesome gaming PC that is nowhere near your awesome TV.
Sure.
And
So it's kind of like our setup.
you want to merge the two.
Then you buy a fucking length of HDMI for fucking $10 like I did
And a wireless
run it along
Xbox
the baseboard
controller.
and bam, you switch the output.
That's how I roll.
But and that is their a lot of their concept anyways. The fact that you don't actually have to install the game on the Steam PC.
Right,
You're streaming it from your main.
Right.
So theoretically, whenever they develop it enough, they should be able to do it on fairly inexpensive hardware.
If you've got that kind of expendable income, then more power to you. I'm just going to keep on doing it the old-fashioned way. Just call me old-fashioned.
Their controllers do look garbage, although I've heard that in their most recent
Iteration.
iterations, they've given up on the touch scoop things.
Dumbies.
Yeah.
What are they thinking?
Trying to be too innovative.
Well, it's whoever likes a fucking trackpad. Like, who said, like, that's what I want on my controller?
I get that they were trying to be able to use mouse.
We look at the PlayStation 4 controllers.
They were trying to get to be able to use mouse-based games with a controller.
Sure.
So they were showing off at the time being able to play Civ on something like a controller with ease. But at the same time, I think it's just too wildly different that no one would really get into it.
Yeah.
So, what was released? We've got not a lot of notable games. I mean, obviously, Shovel Knight is notable.
Yeah,
but I want to say that aside from that, the only real notable game I could pull out was Sniper Elite 3.
Which is supposed to be pretty good. I would like to pick it up. It's still pretty expensive on the Steam sale. It's like still $25, which to me, I'm like, I want to pick that game up for around 10, I think.
Yeah.
Whenever it goes on like 10, I'll pick it up.
I bought the zombie mini game that they like spun off of that, and it's fun.
Okay.
I like being able to see the bullets like go through the zombies' bodies.
Is that cheaper? Is that like a standalone?
Yeah, it's a standalone.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to get that.
that might itch that scratch.
I might have to grab that.
itch.
Yeah. And then, so Shovel Knight. Well, I'll talk a little bit more about it later.
Yeah.
But that game was fucking fantastic.
Shovel Knight, yes. And looking over some of the year in review sites, a lot of people had that on their top games of the year, included on their lists. Channel stats. This month, Crawl breaks into the number one spot with 1,879 views, and our subs count is up to 662. Almost doubled in a month. And we owe that to Crawl, and we owe that to all
Dave
of
and Barney.
you guys.
Yeah. Powerhoof helped us out a lot.
Powerhoof did help us out a lot. It was a blast playing and working with Powerhoof.
I'd like to point out the fact that Powerhoof gave us this game when we had probably less than 400 subscribers.
Yeah.
They had no right to give us this game. And they did.
And I think that, like, so for those of you out there who are listening, because I'm sure there are plenty of you who want to kind of do the Let's Play thing, you want to try and break into YouTube, know that, developers want their games to be seen. And so if you've got just something up on your page that makes it look like, you're putting in the time and effort to make some quality videos, reach out to them. Because there's a good chance that they will want to have you play their game.
And comparatively, our videos were sort of garbage compared to what we are doing now. I mean, our audio wasn't as good as it could have been. I mean, we tried to do the best that we could with what we had. But even with that being said, the devs were still really cool with being like, we'll give you a key, no problem. Yeah. They saw that we were putting in the work.
For sure.
And we put that out, and I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It's just awesome of them.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
It was really nice. They let us use their voice actor.
That was
our
later.
trailers. Yeah.
Later on, we were able to get that, and that was
during our week of
wonderful.
Crawl.
That was so good.
yeah, so I think that was sort of a turning point for us. June's really going to always stick out in my mind.
Yeah.
July. So top stories: Neversoft and Infinity Ward were merged together by Activision, and I'm still waiting to see like Tony Hawk meets Call of Duty. Machine
Well, I had
guns
heard
on
for a while that they
skateboards.
wanted to make like a third-person Call of Duty, like as a spin-off. I could see the Neversoft people doing that because they made the Spider-Man games back on
Right.
the PlayStation 1 days.
I liked those.
Yeah,
Those were good.
they're good at making third-person action games. So when those two merged together, and there was the talk of the third-person Call of Duty, I was like, I could see that being the Neversoft property.
Yeah.
But nothing's happened so far.
Yeah.
That weird game Mountain was released in July.
Was that the one with the horse?
No, it was just there was a mountain on your screen, and sometimes stuff would stick
It was
to it.
interactive art.
It was supposed to be an art game.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the one that Notch did that had the horse and the ball, and it was
that was
like
later,
James
that was later.
Baxter.
So Mountain has actually gotten a lot of praise. In fact, it got nominated for a ton of crap.
Give me a break.
And I'll admit, I don't think any of us have actually played it, but just from looking at it,
You
it
can't
looks,
play it.
Yeah,
Problem is,
It's a screensaver.
They call it a god game.
right.
And so I think a lot of people go into it thinking like, cool, I get to interact with this sandbox, right? I know
No.
what god game means. I've played many god games. I like god games. That is not a god game. It is like a piece of art that you get to like interact with to an extent.
But maybe they're saying like God's just an observer, man, and he just kind of
right,
sets the
shut it,
clock in
shut it,
motion,
McConaughey.
man.
Shut it. So, but the thing is, I think that like a lot of people just felt burned by it because
yeah.
it felt like the marketing was a little tricky because when you
For
have
sure.
these interactive art pieces, calling it a game implies a little more about it. And this is, we could talk about art games. That could be a whole episode of the podcast. But suffice to say, I think most of the people who got angry about Mountain was because they didn't know what they were signing up for. You could call it, say like, oh, well, maybe you should watch a video about it before you buy it. But at the same time, people should be honest in their marketing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a lose-lose.
yeah.
I also included on here. This was.
This is such
I learned
good.
about this when I was looking over the news. I don't remember this.
Oh, I remember this.
I remember this.
I don't remember this
Lindsay
at all.
Lohan sues Rockstar, claiming that in GTA 5 there was a character that was stealing her likeness.
Oh, I do know that character. I knew what they're talking about.
It was, like GTA is famous for doing lots of like parody and satire.
Right.
I mean, that's what they do. That's their
Right.
whole shtick. And so, yeah, there was definitely a character in there who was an amalgamation of like Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian type, like
Right.
vain
Yeah.
actress person.
The fucking like starlet diva.
Yeah.
And they, like during their loading screens, Rockstar has that fairly nice art.
Oh, yeah.
And they had an art piece with that character on it that,
Yeah.
to be fair, looks a
it looks
lot
kind of like her.
Yeah.
Looks kind of like her.
But I can't not believe she had the gall to sue them.
Yeah.
No, that's when you know that someone's, scraping the bottom of the barrel for
I'm
some
sure
money.
that turned out well for her.
Yeah.
And in releases, I put nothing much of note because honestly, July was like the
Wasteland.
it was the month of remasters and re-releases. They remastered The Last of Us that month. A lot of other things too, but I didn't include it on the list because it's just boring.
Gotcha.
Channel stats: Crawl still number one with 4,419. I did put Gang Beasts 5 on there because that was their number 2 with 2,567, and you can see that Gang Beasts is starting to get on to the
it was certainly
get on the radar.
Yeah, that was also before it released on Steam. I'll mention
Yeah.
we were playing the alpha build of it that you could
sure.
get off of IndieDB.
Yeah. It was
Indie
very
DD.
rough back then, but we still loved it.
You can still get it for free there, so check it out. If you
Yeah.
play
like
the
that
original
game.
version.
I'll put a link to it. Subs, we're up to 1,224. We broke the 1,000 mark, and we were just, what? People
Yeah.
were watching
It was
this.
crazy.
We were so stoked. Oh, man. We love you guys. We love subscribers. And moving on to August. Twitch acquired by Amazon for $970 million.
I forgot
That was
about that.
huge. And that was
Yeah.
after YouTube tried to acquire it, right?
Yeah.
Googled, like it was everywhere. Google
Yeah.
was acquiring it
Yeah.
for $1 billion, and that news was like solid. Everyone thought it was fine.
Right. And but then the thing is it came about that it was kind of like, oh no, you can't because that's sort of
That's
monopoly prevention.
yeah,
It's,
and that came out a couple days after it happened. But like when Amazon acquired it, everyone was just like,
What? Yeah.
Like it came out of nowhere. Everyone was like, was this like a takeover? Like
Yeah.
did they just step in? No.
no, it fully had to do with Google could not legally acquire.
Yeah, and the argument was that
Twitch.
Google already has YouTube, which does if you think about it, the same thing that Twitch does, because
Right.
YouTube has streaming capabilities.
Right.
It lets you chat on it.
Yep.
So yeah.
Which I think it's totally fair. And then for us as Let's Players and gamers and whatnot like that, it just means like we have multiple avenues.
Mm-hmm.
And for you guys as the viewers, just remember that this is the kind of thing that because there's this forced competition between the two, it means they both have to try really, really hard to be good at what they do.
Yeah.
They can't exploit you or us. They have to do better because if they're bad, then we jump to the other one.
And this is exactly why Google was not allowed to have
Exactly.
both.
'Cause if they had both,
if there's no competition,
they get to
then
run the
there's-
show.
Yeah, exactly. It's good.
So I'm glad that happened.
Okay. Where are we now?
And then, PAX
Prime. Yep.
Yep.
PAX in Seattle.
And we're hoping next year we can all get out to
Yeah.
PAX.
Yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
hoping to get on those tickets whenever they sell.
It was sad. As soon as PAX was rolling up, we had a ton of the developers that we had been playing their games of actually email us saying, "Hey, we're going to be at PAX. Will we see you there?" No.
No, because we had to buy tickets back
Not
when we
this
had
year.
no subscribers and
Right.
no thought that
We weren't even monetizing
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
We, at this point, well, I don't think we're monetizing in August. We are not making money off of your guys' views.
No, I think we started monetizing the end of August. So yeah.
At the end of August, that's right.
Releases for the month of August: Five Nights at Freddy's came
Fuck that
out.
game.
Oh, dear
Ooh,
God.
yes. Super Time Force Ultra, which you guys played, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Yep,
Very
we've got
cool
that
game.
up there on the
Very
channel.
cool game.
And the Golf Club, which we all know and love. I'm sure that you guys will see plenty more of the Golf Club coming up in the future.
Not from us, maybe from other people.
We
if
played
you go watch it,
we played that game for about an hour, and I edited it down to like 3 minutes or so.
Because
It was a
wow.
great 3 minutes.
That was a shit.
got a
I
good
just
3 minutes.
kept lobbing the ball.
Jazz, like before, like it didn't even matter.
I want to hit that duck. I want to hit that duck so bad.
I'll say that game could be so hilarious for YouTube videos if they would just open it up to Steam Workshop.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let custom costumes
Sure.
happen.
They take
Sure,
themselves
sure.
too seriously.
Yeah.
I want a big sombrero.
And I'll be fair, like it's a solid like golf game, but it's like
yeah.
a very straightforward like hardcore simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
That
bells
just,
and whistles.
You know, who likes watching golf?
Yeah.
Well,
Not people who watch Let's Plays.
I'm not old enough. I'm not old enough to watch golf yet. How's the channel doing in August? Top video. No
Still-
surprise. Still crawl. Yep. 9,710 views. And we're up to 2,267 subscribers by August.
you notice that the past 4 months we've doubled month to
Yeah.
month.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, we're blushing at this point. We're like, people really want to
Yeah.
see our stuff. Oh my
It
god.
was so much fun, so exciting.
September. Microsoft acquires Minecraft for $2.5 billion.
That's ridiculous.
So,
yeah.
so I want to jump in here. Did y'all hear about Notch buying
Oh,
that
yeah.
fucking house?
he
Notch,
stole it from Jay Z
he
and
outdid.
Beyonce.
This is how much money Notch has. You just need to realize this. He made Minecraft. That's this one game.
A Java
Yeah.
game.
All right, a Java.
A Java game.
All right. So this is something that you all could do as little, wannabe developers at home learning how to code. Okay. He sold this game and made so much money off it, especially from this acquisition by Microsoft, that he outbid Jay-Z and Beyonce for literally the biggest house, the most expensive house in Beverly Hills.
That's right.
Period.
It's such a huge place, too.
You'll have to link to they have
I
a
will.
tour of that house.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to watch I want to see the tour.
I was trying to see it on my phone the other day. I couldn't.
man.
The tour is ridiculous. Not that the house is big, which it is. It's Notch. They talk about how Notch bought it with the furniture in it. The furniture that it's decorated with is so over the top gaudy.
Yeah.
There is a room with nothing but antique fire extinguishers in it.
That's so awesome. You know that was like the guy who owned it before was some like 1920s
I think-
oil baron.
Yeah.
Who, like,
I think.
I love the olden times.
I think it was a brand new house, so I think it was some like new designer that was like, you know what people will love to see?
Fire
fire
extinguishers.
extinguishers. God, that's so bizarre.
I'll just put it right next to the fire.
Yeah, right next to the fire. It's irony. Oh, man.
Yeah, so
amazing.
I mean, that's the biggest story
Yeah.
of the month, certainly. Also, Naughty Dog turned 30 back in September.
Good old Naughty Dog.
Yeah,
they made
already
some good
30 years
games.
old, yeah.
They're on top of the world now.
Yeah.
Releases of September: The Sims 4, Destiny, Gauntlet, Neverending Nightmares, and Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. So, pretty good release.
So yeah, like Sims 4 did about as well as people expected, but like it was missing a lot of features. That
It was missing
wanted.
pools, and what else
Yeah,
was it
and
missing?
I think they're slowly getting it in there. From what
Yeah,
I've heard, people are liking it more and more.
One of the
I-
neighborhood's pretty small as well.
Yeah.
The idea is that like you couldn't even really walk around in your neighborhood.
They took
which-
it out of the open world that
Right,
it was
right.
in Sims 3.
But I've heard that they're at least being at least a little bit nice to the community. They're adding back a lot of the stuff that people are complaining about, like pools. I don't know about children yet. I know that's like a super big one that they removed. You don't have the baby stage anymore.
I thought it was you don't have the kid stage. I thought it was like baby to adult. Or something.
Okay.
You're missing one of the stages.
Right.
And I think that they've talked about adding a lot of that in.
But so far, all the DLC's been free, from my understanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So
that's good.
They've been doing Goodwill, which is a shocking thing for EA to do Goodwill DLC. Destiny obviously exploded.
Yeah.
People loved it, and now I barely hear anything about it.
Yeah. It's
I
Titanfall.
I just got it from my Secret Santa, so I'm going to be playing a bit of it. But from what I've played of it so far, it seems fairly generic.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah,
I heard it was very repetitive. Was what it ended up being. It's like the end game is grind game.
I hear it. Everyone's just waiting for them to release the newest expansion.
But it's kind of like, if you remember, that's like WoW, but like condensed. It's like with WoW, there was enough stuff to where you didn't get to that point until it was almost time for the next expansion, right?
Right.
There was like a 6-month period maybe where you're like, okay, the next expansion's coming at the end of this year. I'm just, I'm kind of like grinding out endgame stuff. I don't really have much going on. But it sounds like Destiny hit that like immediately.
This game felt unfinished out the gate. Yeah.
Gauntlet we played on the channel was fun. I mean, I enjoyed that.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And
I'll say that Gauntlet felt a little repetitive to me as well.
A little
as far
bit.
as the enemies that we faced.
I'm going to go ahead and say
I've always felt that way
the
with Gauntlet
art
games.
style for me is what kind of dragged it down. The original Gauntlet games are colorful and bright and crazy looking.
Yeah.
And this one was a little more like drabby and real. And so I feel like that brought it down a little for me. It's like it didn't pull me through because I'm like, great, I'm in another dark dungeon. I'm doing the same shit again. I've done that a million times in games.
I'll say also the fact that I think we played it right after we played Hammerwatch.
Yeah.
Sure.
I love Hammerwatch.
Hammerwatch is great.
Yeah.
That's how you Gauntlet. And then Never Ending Nightmares, you guys played on the channel?
It was great.
The art style really blew me away because the dude hand drew, cross-hatched all of the game.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was beautiful, and it was very surprising. And there was definitely some scenes in there that
Very
was
bizarre.
disgusting.
And that was another game that had random endings, and you didn't know it had random endings until the very end.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is super cool. And I like that they didn't do the little, like, you'll remember this.
Exactly.
That's one of the sins that Telltale commits is like, oh, great, I know every time that something important just happened because in the upper left corner it tells me.
Exactly.
And then Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor blew people's minds.
Yeah, I'm just waiting.
That's
for
actually a
fresh
fun
stuff
game.
on that.
It's really fun.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet, but like from what I have seen, I've watched tons of Let's Plays. It's totally my kind of game, and people thought like, oh, here's this shitty licensed Assassin's Creed clone. And what it really comes out to is like, oh, here's the best Assassin's Creed game that came out this year amidst 2 other Assassin's Creed games.
So the reason why I haven't really played it as much is because no one I know owns a copy. The great thing about that game is that it plays off of your friend's copies. So like say I kill somebody and he comes back, he could show up on your save.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That was the coolest part. Like, so Jazz, let's say Jazz like sliced and left a huge scar in some orc's face that was like a little mini boss or something.
He comes back with that same goddamn scar.
And we'll have that scar and we'll reference her username.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
See, that's the reason why I kind of was like, this is really fun, but I'm not enjoying it as I could because there was so many stories about
I think
people getting their nemesis on someone else's save.
That suddenly does make me a lot more interested.
I think we all need to pick it up if it goes on sale.
If it goes on sale, I think we do all need to pick it up.
I'm down with that. I would play that game for sure.
Yeah.
All right,
So
Rick, you want to hit us up with some stats?
Our top video is now Gang Beasts, and it will be
Gang Beasts number 7.
And that's
to
where
stay.
That was the Steam released one.
That was the Steam release.
Yes, this was Gang Beasts number 7, 66,826 views. We fucking our minds were blown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Here's what happened, because like and Ash wrote a big blog post about like kind of what happened,
did.
and you can look at comparisons of essentially a couple of things aligned to where other really big YouTubers played Gang Beasts, and so like they built up the hype for it, and it had the Steam release, so suddenly a bunch of people were seeing it on the Steam front page, and they're like, "What is this game?" They go to YouTube and search for it, and our videos happen to be ones that you would find when you search for it
because we'd been playing it for 2 months,
and so people found our channel.
It was very awesome that they found number 7, which happened to be the Steam release, which happened to also be one of the first videos where we're using our good new mics.
Right.
Yes. And it's a really fun video. I mean, that's one of my favorite videos that we have. I think it's worthy of being our top
For sure.
viewed video.
But I have a feeling that was a lot of our subscribers' first introduction to Stumpt.
Yeah.
And it will remain our number one video, I'm sure, for a long time.
For a long time.
I mean, I think I recently checked it now. It has over 200,000 views.
Yeah, it's like 250 or 260.
Yeah, it's getting really high.
Pretty good for a little channel like Stumpt.
Heck yeah.
We thank you guys for watching.
Absolutely.
Moving on to October releases. There was really no news for October, okay? It was a slow news month. I just included the releases. Chariot, Alien Isolation, Borderlands the pre-sequel, Civ Beyond Earth Custom Quest 2.
Nice.
So there's a lot of those games that I like. Chariot was really fun. Me and Price played it.
Yeah.
We wanted to do a first look at it, and I wish we kind of, in that mindset, have said, look, this is just a first look.
Yeah, well, we kind of talked about it in there. We said, we'll probably just do a look at it. We'll see if we'll do more. But it doesn't look like we're going to do too much more of it if we do any more of it, just because it's like we have other games we need to play. And we
but
can't
it was
play
such
every
a
game all the way
fun
to the end.
game.
It's a really
It was
cool
really
thing.
great game.
If you have a friend, or I would especially say, if you have like a little brother or somebody, I think you can easily play that game with them to completion, and it would be a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I watched the entire Alien Isolation
I still haven't watched it all. I will.
That was fun.
I played probably 2-3 hours of it so far, and it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it looks amazing.
It's easily on my top list for my games.
And then me and Ash just actually purchased the Borderlands prequel.
We just purchased it a few days ago.
I think we're going to get in on that.
Which has been extremely fun. Playing Claptrap is fucking hilarious because his move is basically he assesses the whatever's going on.
Yeah.
And he changes his class based on that.
Yeah.
It's actually it's not really made by Gearbox either.
Yeah, that is true.
But in the same vein, it's the first Borderlands that is not stuck in the desert and has different enemies.
Sure. It's got the moon stuff, and you can knock out their air. I've seen tons of stuff. It looks great. It looks like a great Borderlands game. Yeah. For me, it's just I still never finished Borderlands 2, and it's kind of like the same thing about how I haven't wanted to buy any Telltale games because I have I still need to finish all of Walking Dead season 2, and so I don't want to skip past all of these games to play the most recent one.
Yeah, you
because
definitely
I need the other
finish
pieces.
the other
You guys
one.
have finished Borderlands 2, so you know all that stuff. And then
Civ.
We played it. We'll probably talk about it a little bit more later. Yeah.
Sure. And Consequence 2.
Great game.
We loved it.
Great game.
We played it on the channel. If you haven't
Everyone
seen
go
it,
watch
check it out.
It's one of our best.
We do silly voices.
Channel stats. Gang Beasts.
Still
Number
at the top.
7. Number top. Takes in 91,224 views for the month of October.
Huge.
And we are up to 10,415
Breaking that
subs.
10K
We
was
broke
huge.
10K.
Yes. Yep. Ash
And it
went
happened
ahead.
so quickly.
Yeah, it did. Ash wrote a nice blog post on our stumpgamers.com website. You guys go check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Moving on to November. November PAX Australia was held in Melbourne. BlizzCon was held in Anaheim, and they announced Overwatch.
Which looks fantastic.
It looks
It looks beautiful.
And we'll talk more about that later.
Releases for the month: Binding of Isaac, Rebirth. Yes. World of Warcraft, Lords of Draenor.
Boo.
I got the twitches, man.
Don't.
Just saying it. Dragon Age, Inquisition, and our favorite game of the year, LittleBigPlanet 3. Game of the year.
We'll talk about that
Game of the year
in a little bit.
Oh, God.
Channel stats. Our top video was Gang Beasts, number 7. I forgot to put the view count, but by this point, it's over 100,000. Doing very well.
For the
and
month, yeah.
We are up to 14,297 subscribers. A very healthy growth, and we are super stoked. Which brings us to December, and I don't need to tell you guys about December. We're living it.
We're living it right now.
We're
doing
to
it.
the present day.
We're doing it and doing it and doing it well.
Things are good, and let's talk about some of our favorite things, our least favorite things of the year. Who wants to take it?
Yeah, you guys have all heard about this kind of stuff. Top 5.
So we're gonna stop.
All that kind of stuff.
We'll start at the top, the way that Rick gave it to us. Biggest bust. What was your biggest bust price?
Biggest bust. It up until today, I was gonna say it was Civ Beyond Earth.
Let's just stick with Civ. Let's hold off on the other one.
Yeah.
Okay. So Civ Beyond Earth for me, there was a ton of build up. Rick, I know you felt this as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was, it looked like it was going to be a fantastic follow up to Civ 5.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something about that game that kind of lost the appeal of Civ 5. And I think what it is, like, honestly, for me, what it feels like is I think that what I've learned about Civ 5 that I didn't realize I loved until playing Beyond Earth is, like, I need those other characters. I need the, leaders of the different civs to have their own personalities and to play their own way, because it gives it some more personality to it that carries you through it. When you have all of these, essentially faceless civilizations, and they all kind of behave somewhat similarly, and it's not until later in the game that they really start to act differently. It's just kind of like, you're another shade of vanilla that's popped up in here, and it's all about fighting aliens for the first long while, and it's just like there's nothing in Beyond Earth that quite compares to the difference between finding out that your neighbor is Shaka, right? You find out Shaka Zulu's your neighbor, you go, great, I'm going to war soon.
Yep.
Versus you find out, I don't know, it's like Ethiopia. You're like, I've got some time.
Yeah.
They're not going to expand very much. They're not going to war. They're just going to come for religion. So
Or, Gandhi.
Or
You got to make sure that you have a really good nuclear program.
Yeah, you build nuclear shelters immediately.
Or take care of them real early.
Yeah. I think that really is true. That Beyond Earth, for me anyway, it really seemed like Civ Light.
It is. It really is.
And which was at least great for me as a new Civ player, because I learned quite a lot from Beyond Earth. But after very quickly, I realized, holy crap, there's, like you said, only really 3 varieties to the game.
And I think I've played it the most out of all of us here.
I've
really tried to give it a fair shake. I think I've played over 100 hours. But, you get to a certain point in the game, no matter which affinity you're going, where it just feels like you're playing the same game.
It really is.
The tech web was such it seems so innovative, but really it's crazy how little variety there is, even though you're supposed to have all these, because, each leaf has these different, or each branch has these different leaves, you end up researching the same things over and over because they're the only fucking thing worth researching.
Well, and that's the thing. I think we talked about this before, where it's like, yeah, sure, there are all these options, but there's only one great option.
Right.
It's like there are 4
prosperity tree.
Yeah, there are 4 different trees that you can go down for your culture stuff, but there's only one that you should go down.
The one that gives you health.
And then, as far as the tech goes, it's like, you want to get all the center ones first because you need those techs just to survive, essentially. And then you want to get the ones that have to do with your affinity.
And wonders are garbage.
With
the exception of maybe 1 or 2, like the Exogenesis pod and a couple other things.
Yeah.
It's worthless.
Yeah, and it really does seem like there are components to it that I would love to see folded into Civ. I think that they optimize combat so well that I think Civ 5 would benefit from having a lot of those upgrades. But Civ 5 is still a better game, and Beyond Earth just fell for me.
I'll mention to our listeners here, Rick said that he's given it a fair shake and that he's put it in over 100 hours. Some of you might think that he loves the game because he's put 100 hours into it. When he says that he's given it a fair shake, how many hours have you put into Civ 5?
I'm almost at 1,000.
Yeah.
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 And I'm near there as well. And I gave Beyond Earth about 12.
Yeah.
I mean, I played 2 or 3 games to completion, and I was just like, you know what? This is just not doing it for me.
And I mean, the only reason I was really playing Beyond Earth was because I'm an achievement whore and I wanted to try to get as many as I can, but I got to a point where it just wasn't fun anymore and I gave up. Yeah, so that was definitely on my biggest bust as well. I included Watch Dogs on there too, but I mean, everybody sort of knows the story about Watch Dogs. They wrote a check that they're asking to cash, basically.
They built up a game that just wasn't the golden child they thought it was. They thought they had another Assassin's Creed on their hands, and they didn't.
Yeah.
Because we played it, I'm going to include Thief on my biggest bus.
Okay.
And while standalone, it's a great game. Compared to the previous Thieves, it is nothing like the previous Thieves.
Did you even play the previous Thieves?
Not nearly as much as you.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
The newest Thief?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Sure, but...
Was it as good as Thief 2 or Thief 3?
Well...
I feel like they were different games.
They were a bit different games. They did keep a lot of the same core concepts that I really enjoyed, like the moss arrows, water arrows, stuff like that. But, yeah, I mean... The last Thief I remember playing was Deadly Shadows, and that just so quickly devolved from a Thief game into like this weird cult horror game that it was very surprising to me.
But I recall Thief being more stealth focused, whereas this newest Thief is more Lara Crofty kind of.
It felt kind of like almost like Deus Ex or what was that other one? like Dishonored, you know? Where
Sure.
like Dishonored, you could be stealthy and do all that kind of stuff, but you could also just run and gun, essentially. And I feel like that's what Thief felt more like to me in this new iteration.
the heavy focus that I kept on finding was the environmental puzzles in Thief. Was you kept on running up walls, you kept on like trying to figure out how you get to this window. I was like, this seems like a Lara Croft game, and not so much about me stealing and not being noticed.
Right, right.
There's also a lot of hub worlds too. I noticed that like there's lots of these like communal worlds that like led to different levels. And there were so many chances that there was just so many things you had to find, and it was a little confusing and just like also frustrating because we were trying to do a let's play of it, and I was getting forced and pushed along
by the game, or
well, by just we needed to keep going.
Right.
Where if I had played it single player by myself,
spent hours hunting everything down for sure. I get that.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that we've rounded out the biggest bust pretty well.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the let's say best movie.
Best movie?
What's our best movie pick of the year?
It's kind of hard.
I've got there's several movies I want to mention. We'll just talk about them really quickly. You guys know two of the ones at the top of my list.
Yep.
Captain America and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
Guardians was really fun.
I mean, Guardians, I feel like it's probably on everybody's list. Captain America, for me, I finally got the Captain America movie that I've always wanted. Like, the first Captain America is still amazing. I love it. The first Avenger's fantastic. This one, because it didn't have to do the origin story, because we already had the Avengers and all that kind of stuff, it really allowed us to see, like, Cap exactly how I feel like he should have been seen. So I was super happy about that. The other two honorable mentions that I will say that would go at the top of mine, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Fantastic. Way better than I thought it would be. Way better than the first one, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And Fury. It's actually really, really good. War movie starring Brad Pitt. It's about tanks. I thought it was just going to be okay. I came out of that theater going, that was a fantastic movie.
Yeah, definitely. Guardians, I was telling this Ash, I remember the last time I went to go see Guardians, I compared it to like Fifth Element. It's one of those movies that's it's so fun that it doesn't matter how many times you've seen it. You could still watch it over and over again.
Yeah.
My other top movies for the year was Lego Movie.
Okay.
That was very surprising to me when I got to see it.
It was surprising for everybody.
It was just such a great movie. Chris Pratt killed it.
This is his year.
Yeah, it's really his year. Interstellar was amazing.
Interstellar was pretty great.
I would include, and I didn't put it on my list, but I should have, Snowpiercer. Did you guys see Snowpiercer?
I did not like Snowpiercer.
You didn't like Snowpiercer?
I did not like Snowpiercer.
I liked Snowpiercer. Now, some people are trying to, I think, look too deep into it. I thought it was a really fun movie. Yes, it's got a heavy-handed...
It has moments.
Yeah.
But it's like there are also moments where it falls apart.
I thought it was fun from beginning to end, and I thought that Tilda Swinton was fantastic in it.
She killed it. And honestly, like, I think the best part about Snowpiercer, there's a piece in kind of like the middle of the film where you're going through certain train cars. And I was like, this is the closest thing we'll ever get to a BioShock movie.
Yeah.
Anytime soon. I was like, the weird, like, anachronistic, creepy, cultish, cult of personality kind of thing they had going was really cool.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that there. But yeah, overall, I didn't
enjoyed it.
It's on Netflix. You can all go check it out.
That's true.
Netflix.
I'll add Gone Girl to the list so far.
Sure.
Because I also really love Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that's probably going to be one that I watch over and over and over again for years to come.
For sure.
Gone Girl's not a movie that I'm going to watch over and over again. But as a single serving experience, it was incredible to me.
Feature killed it.
And I really went in with very little expectations because I didn't read the book. I really didn't even watch the trailers. My mom drug us to it.
Yeah, I went in going, I have no idea what this is about.
That is the way you should see that movie.
Yes.
I still have no idea what it's about. I can't wait.
The less you know, the better, because it really is like unwrapping a gift. It's fantastic.
It is very, very good. And I'll say that freaking Ben Affleck has been killing it lately.
Yeah, as Batman looks more and more like he can actually pull it off.
Both as an actor and as a director. Which he didn't direct Gone Girl, but
no, but he's done other stuff. For sure. Cool.
So let's say top story of the year. Anybody got a top story?
Like news story type of thing?
My big one, I would have to say, is Curiosity.
Curiosity.
Yeah, that was really fun to watch the whole.
Was that this year?
No, that was last year, silly.
Was it last year?
Yeah,
well, it's just it just keeps continuing.
We've got the what's it on the comet though.
The comet, that is really awesome too. I am so excited.
Rosetta, yes.
I am very excited for what they find, and this just is like, I'm really sad that I might not live
on Mars.
Well, not on
Get your
Mars,
ass
but
to
I
Mars.
feel like I was born too early
I feel
for
the
that
same
kind of
way.
stuff.
We all
I
do.
want to live
We
forever
all do.
because I want to see all of the advances that we make.
sure.
yeah.
I want to see us leave the solar system. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
And
want to
then-
see us live interstellar. You know,
And then I guess the second top story would be Sony.
Sony. That's what I got.
gosh, yeah.
Man,
Because
and it
that's
came at
just the
end of
biggest
year,
thing
too.
ever.
And
Yeah.
it keeps getting crazier. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it a little bit last podcast before we really knew a lot of the stuff. I mean, they just canceled the interview. Now Sony says, okay, we're going to put it back on. It was the movie theater's fault why
Yeah.
we canceled it. They're attributing the hack to North Korea. North Korea is saying it wasn't us. And insiders are saying there's no way it could have been North Korea. Meanwhile, the FBI is saying, oh, it was North Korea.
Yeah.
So there's all these conflicting accounts. Personally, I don't think it was North Korea. I don't think that there was any credible threat. And Homeland Security said that there was no credible threat. Anyhow, we can all agree the best press the interview could ever get. Though,
Totally.
right?
I didn't want to see the movie. I thought it looked
Yeah.
fucking stupid. But now that you tell me I can't watch
Yeah.
it, I want to see it.
When
more
they
than anything
release
else.
this movie, everybody's going to see
Everyone's
this
gonna watch
fucking
it.
thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's why I really hope that this is actually the most cunning marketing plan ever.
And they will release it because
Yeah.
before today, when Sony said, no, we're going to release it, yesterday they said, we will let Amazon or Netflix stream it if they take the liability for
Gotcha.
it. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck yeah.
And
dude,
of course,
put it on
Netflix and Amazon are like, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
how could like a hacker track the streams and then go attack somebody by the time the movie's
Well,
over?
they could attack Netflix.
They could attack Netflix, but I'm sure that, how would you do it?
That would suck for them, but Netflix also has,
Yeah,
a million backup distribution
And
server centers.
Probably some of the best IT you can possibly have
I'm
when your
sure.
entire business is
You
internet.
think somebody's not tried to hack Netflix
Hey,
already?
they still mail DVDs.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember 5 years ago when people freaked the fuck out.
Not
when
the
they were going
entire
streaming.
business.
to grandparents in Kansas. Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
So, moving on to the biggest disappointment of the year. Who's got a biggest disappointment?
I think now's a pretty good time to talk about Little Big Planet 3.
All right.
Fuck Little Big Planet.
So, for everyone listening, we're all pretty raw about the game right now because literally just about an hour ago, we just beat Little Big Planet 3. And
It took us a lot more time than we had planned.
This
to.
episode actually probably isn't even out yet.
No,
You are listening to
I'd
this,
say-
it's probably not out yet. Give us some time, but you will see
Yeah, we
our
won't-
consternation.
We won't spoil it too much for you, but needless to say, the very last episode of Little Big Planet 3 is going to be a clip show because we had to spend probably about an hour just on the last boss
Yeah.
fight.
and a huge chunk of it wasn't just like it's. We talked about this earlier on in the series, and it just gets worse and worse throughout. That it's obvious that they do not quality test with multiple players with co-op,
And-
because so many of the components I can imagine. Yeah, you play this single player, and none of the problems that we ran into
When
are gonna be an issue.
R1 is dive with swoop and it's also grab,
guess
then
what happens?
you have a problem.
You grab your friend,
And you fall to
and
your
neither
death.
of you can swoop, and you both die.
Yeah.
And then there's the life limit, which means then you have to
Yep.
restart the whole level. Anyway, so there's that frustration.
Yep.
But the even bigger frustration is beyond not obviously quality testing co-op.
Yep.
They just didn't seem to quality test period enough
Sure.
because at the very end, we kept on running into issues where all of our costumes disappeared.
Yeah.
We
And
also had a crash.
we had the game.
It literally crashed.
It literally
And
crashed.
I hope I hope you kept that when you edited it into the video, because I want people to see how broken this shit is. Because if this was a little early access game on Steam, whatever, crashes happen. This is a huge
They did
AAA
not-
title, one of Sony's biggest
Yep.
franchises, and it's a steaming
They did
pile of
not
shit.
yeah.
quality test.
God,
they did not
I was
test
so excited for
So-
Little Big Planet 3, and it fell to pieces.
The other crazy part is we looked this up immediately after. Price saw that this game has gotten amazing reviews.
Amazing reviews, but
It's
the
got
thing
an
is,
80 on
if,
Metacritic.
but if you go hunt through them and look at like the user reviews that are really bad, they're saying the same things that we are. Where they're like, yeah, there are game-breaking bugs that make this impossible to play with multiple people.
Yeah.
And all of the people who are giving it stellar reviews, they're talking about it as if they only played single player.
Right.
And
And I don't know if they've finished the game, to be honest with you.
But here's the thing, like a lot of the issues really did pop up because it's like, yeah, it looks like since we were playing with multiple people, it was falling to pieces. But the thing is Little Big Planet, like a huge part of this game was you're supposed to
Co-op.
play with your friends. It's co-op.
Yeah, what was really surprising is there was no 4-player puzzles.
There was no four-player
No
puzzle.
four-player puzzles.
All the puzzles were 2 players only, and it makes me think that
What game
maybe
did you make?
what was it, Sumo?
Sumo is
Yeah.
who made it.
Yeah,
Instead
yeah.
of it's not made by Media Molecule.
But
this
it
time.
makes me think that Sumo's like our demographic. They don't have more than 2 people playing it.
And to be
You
fair,
know-
it is a much smaller demographic. You know,
Sure,
it is.
sure. But it feels like it's the kind of
However,
thing
it's
that
a
you just
demographic that shouldn't be
advertise for it.
overlooked.
Yeah.
You should
Exactly.
create a game
Yeah.
that can host 4 people and then make it unplayable.
Yeah.
I feel like they probably quality tested it up until Manglewood, and then after that, they were just like, okay, it's good. It's good enough. We're done.
That's Stump's biggest disappointment of the year.
I
have
there are a couple more. I do want to say I was disappointed that Evolve got pushed.
I
was really looking forward to playing Evolve this year, but it looks like they pushed it for good reasons. There's a bunch more modes now, more characters, more everything. So the game looks like it's going to be amazing. I'm excited to play it. Didn't come out this year. I'm sad that we didn't get to play it yet. Yeah. Although some of us have played the beta, but or the alpha. But yeah.
I'm also really disappointed in Elder Scrolls. The MMO
Online.
I knew it wasn't going to be good.
Well, I mean, I was excited for it. There was a lot of stuff for it. I was in the beta, and it was fun up until the second time I was in the beta, where they changed just almost everything about it.
They should just stop making MMOs at this point.
They should just let the Goat Simulator people make the MMO because they made a much better MMO.
World of Warcraft's going to be around for 10 years, but there's really no point in making any other MMOs because nobody's going to fucking play them.
Well, because I think the issue is that like it's a genre problem. That like MMO comes with a whole bunch of like trappings of these quests and raids and all these kinds of things. And so no one tries to make a new game. They make a different flavor of the WoW game. WoW's been making this game for 10, 15 years now? Like that game has had so much stuff built into it. It's kind of like we talked briefly earlier about like The Sims, but I think this is actually a pretty good comparison where it's like Sims 3 had a decade of DLC additions, all this kind of stuff. So it was massive by the time Sims 4 came out. There's no way Sims 4 could have been as good as Sims 3 because there was so much stuff in Sims 3.
And that is true. A lot of people that try to make full-fledged MMOs try to include the crazy amount of content that WoW has put into the game so far, with raids and dungeons and all the little mini games.
You gotta think smaller.
Yeah, you really do.
And stop trying to make subscription-based games.
That's why I am excited for new things that are on the horizon, like No Man's Sky, which includes massively multiplayer aspects into it, but isn't really the same type of game.
And that's where, and like Jasmine, you were saying about the Shadow of Mordor stuff earlier, I think that like this kind of semi-online mode is something that a lot of games should really float into. Of like, your friends can somewhat interact with you, but you don't have to be online. It doesn't have to be this
passive interactive.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You can drop in if I'm playing and you're playing, but it doesn't have to be an online game.
Because it's the immersion that I play Elder Scrolls for.
Because
that's the whole point of it. Is like it's such a huge open world. You could do anything.
Yeah.
And I think what a lot of people in MMOs are looking for is the idea that you're leaving some sort of permanence on your world.
Sure.
And by having that kind of passiveness through games like Shadow of Mordor, you are doing that.
Yeah. You're having that impact on your friends, for sure. So those are our disappointments.
All right, moving on to favorite Stumped moments.
I have actually a list.
Yes, we'll let Jasmine take this one.
This is going to be a little bit longer episode, y'all, but I hope you're all strapped in for it. It's a special.
So I'm going to have to say my very top favorite moment for Stump is when I flew.
Chickens can fly.
So that is Gang Beasts episode 9, y'all.
Yeah, because Gang Beasts is so fun. I've had a lot of time. But that episode was the first episode where I laughed so hard.
And we were all
I was literally weeping.
Yeah.
Like I was sitting here and it took me a couple minutes to actually calm down. Because I was crying so hard. I couldn't even, I'm blind to begin with.
Yeah.
I could not even see the screen.
We were all truly shocked and surprised in the moment. So my reaction, I think Rick and I are both just like yelling like, what?
Yeah.
What is going on?
And it's obvious that you guys loved it too. Everybody.
Oh no, it was hilarious. It was
all
amazing.
our viewers loved it.
Yeah.
It was just amazing.
Yeah.
My second one, I have to say, was probably Dr. White's Trick or Treat.
Yeah, that was
machine.
That was a shocker.
Costume Quest 2.
Yeah.
Because the whole, and it was, I imagined that was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was going to come up, but once when we actually saw it, it was just amazing.
Yeah, it was very sad but telling, and that was a thing.
This is a bit biased on my part, but I like the evolution of Fake Rick.
That's true.
Oh, man.
Fake Rick's on my list.
Sounds like a fake Rick to me.
Yeah.
Goodness, you would like the.
I wasn't even here for the creation of Fake Rick.
That's true.
The reason why
absent.
Fake Rick exists is because I was gone.
Yeah.
But now he is real.
He has,
and he does.
What would that be? That would be a crawl episode pre.
I think it's probably called Fake Rick.
Yeah, there's
Fake Rick the Ruiner, I think is what the episode is called.
Yeah.
And then the fan art that spawned it was amazing.
Fan art, and then honestly a short story.
There was a short story.
Yes,
that we've sort of run with.
But definitely Fake Rick is up there too, because Fake Rick destroys Rash.
Yeah.
was another great moment.
Yeah. That was tons of fun.
Oh, yeah.
That Starbound episode, or those series of episodes.
And seeing some of the comments.
So good.
What? No, that wasn't that's a player. Somebody's playing that thing. That's a player, you sillies.
It's a player named Fake Rick.
Yeah.
Sentient computer somewhere
right.
on the other side of the world.
I had to say the next one is when we played Octodad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the
new
floor
short?
ends up eating you.
Oh, God, yeah.
Did we ever get out of that floor?
We had to restart
I
the
think we
game.
had to restart.
That's right.
Yeah. That was shocking.
But it was just so shocking that we were like standing upright and next thing you know, we're just completely stuck.
Yeah.
That's the medical problems?
Yeah.
Medical problems, Octodad short.
Yeah.
I'm actually really happy with Octodad.
Oh, yeah. I'd love it if they'd make more shorts like that.
Those shorts were so good.
Yeah.
They were perfect, like little, they took us each, like,
They took us, I think, exactly.
the
It's
same.
the exact same time.
but it's around 20 minutes?
It was like 22 minutes
Yeah.
each.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. That's exactly how long an episode
But it's
that
such a
should
great game because, I mean, it's a really fun, just kind of like, it's really hard to control.
be. Yeah.
It's just,
like deliberately.
it's an endearing character,
It
you
is.
know, it's
Yeah.
an octopus that's fallen in love.
And like the jokes and everything are really fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
creative, you know, like that.
Yeah.
That's a really good game. That's high quality. I would like to say, like, I think that some of my favorite moments, it's just kind of like it's a chunk. It was all of the collaboration stuff that we did
With Pixel.
with Pixel, and and Sushi X as well. We did
Yeah.
Screen Sheet. All the collaborations that we did, I thought like. It was so fun to get to reach out to and interact with other YouTubers
Yeah.
and do all kinds of stuff. And I think, there were a lot of really great moments throughout those videos that were hilarious.
There was something kind of like striking about sitting together in separate houses, playing with a person who is literally as far away from us as
you could be. Yeah.
Playing video games together, things that you take for granted so easily. You're
For
just
sure.
like, yeah, okay, we got to make sure that we have the same time frame.
Yeah.
We're playing video games with somebody on the other side of the fucking world
That was tons
and
of
broadcasting it to the world.
Yeah.
It's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
To think about when you do.
And if you guys have not checked out Pixel's channel, go
for
and
sure.
go see her.
She's doing a big relaunch. Go follow her on Twitter and stuff like that. But like, just go check out those videos. Mount Your Friends, Gary's Mod, and then go check out the ones that we posted to her channel as
Sure.
well. Like tons of fun. Yeah,
Super good.
definitely.
Yeah, hopefully more collaborations coming up in 2015. So let's wrap this thing up then. Top game of the year. What is your favorite game of the year? Game picks, you guys.
I think everyone knows my answer.
Yeah.
Isaac.
Binding of Isaac.
Binding
for
of Isaac
prize.
Rebirth. I've already put in well over 100 hours, and the game's been out for about a month.
To be fair, I've probably put in at least 25.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I
Yeah.
mean, it really, like, what they did, like, I loved Binding of Isaac. Like, I'm already, kind of biased because I was when we started doing Stumpt, I had already been, like, my biggest stuff that I watched all the time and was a huge fan of on YouTube were Binding of Isaac videos.
Sure.
I loved Binding of Isaac videos. I loved playing Binding of Isaac. I was just deep into Binding of Isaac. And so when Rebirth was announced and when it was coming out, it was just like, I was so excited. It came out. It is amazing.
Yeah.
It like really like they fixed everything that were the problems. They've added so much more content to it that it still feels new every time I play it. And it's exactly what I wanted.
Also, they made it so much more accessible because I didn't get into the Flash version that much.
Yeah.
And there's just something about the HD graphics that just makes it just so much easier for me to play.
Yeah, for sure.
Same like when Spelunky HD came out, it just made it that much easier.
More accessible for sure. And I think that so Isaac, obviously for me, top of the list by far.
Yeah.
But I also did want to, honorable mention Shovel Knight and Necrodancer. Crypt of the Necrodancer, I played a ton. You can still watch a bunch of those videos on the channel. It was such an innovative idea to say, let's make a rhythm roguelike.
Yeah.
And I love
And
that.
they pulled it off really
so
well.
It's such a good game, and I would love to one day play it on a dance pad. I would love to play it DDR style. And then Shovel Knight, they captured literally everything that I loved about my favorite games growing up, like Mega Man. They have bits of Mario in there. They have bits of Zelda. They have there's all these little components where you can tell this was a love letter to the NES and Super Nintendo era. And they got the art. They got the 8-bit graphic style to where it's everybody has a palette, and they can only have so many colors. The music was perfect. Everything about it was just, it's one of those ones where it was a game that almost brought me to tears just because I was so nostalgic playing through the entire thing. And it's fantastic. It is really fan. If you have not played Shovel Knight, go play it. It's wonderful. And that's me. That's it.
Jazz?
I think I'm kind of torn because there's a lot of games I really liked. But I feel like Borderlands has been really resurfacing for me for 2014.
Like just the pre-sequel?
It's the pre-sequel and then the Tales of the Borderlands. Like, that actually just all of a sudden awakened, like, this huge, like, need to replay these games.
Sure.
And I kind of rounded it up as like, hey, let's play this again. And we kind of were, like, up and, doing that for quite a while. But I'm kind of, like, torn because there's a lot of games that came out this year that I really like.
For sure.
But I can't really, I'm just, like, nothing's really jumping to mind.
Well, I mean, Tales of the Borderland, I've heard is really great, and then the pre-sequel, and I think that overall Borderlands as a franchise is such an interesting franchise that it really is deserving of praise.
There's a lot of depth to that franchise, a lot of characters.
Yeah.
There's just so much.
Want their backstory.
There's just so much, great story in that, and it's such a fun.
The way that they meld humor and like violence, and everything, like it really is like it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's so absolutely fun, and I want to put Grimrock up there too because I've been having a blast with Grimrock.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's just one of those games that is just it's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. We got our asses kicked quite often. Like if people saw that video today, there's a lot of times where I've had to just skip over how many times we've died.
Yeah, for sure.
So
tough games.
Yeah.
Ash?
So, I'll preface this by saying that for me, I play a shit ton of games. I buy too many. So if I actually beat a game, then that says something on its own. Because I play so many that I rarely beat one. So I want to first say that Jazzpunk is one that I went all the way through.
I forgot about that. That was a really great game.
Jazzpunk was freaking amazing.
It was super fun.
It's just hilarious. It's comedic, and really, I think everyone should play it. I'll give another honorable mention, I think, to Alien Isolation, even though I've not
finished it yet.
That I love the style, and I'm just such a huge Aliens fan that they got everything right.
Yeah,
in that
that's
game.
the visuals are amazing in that game.
But I'm going to have to give my game of the year to a game that just came out 2 days ago. To a game that's not even really a game. Metal Gear Solid Zero Grounds.
Fuck you, Ash.
Ground Zeroes. Just because it reminds me so much of what a good Metal Gear Solid game should be. So I'll say that
Ash is a lifelong Metal Gear fan.
Metal Gear Solid 4 was awful, in my opinion.
Okay.
Just because it was just a movie.
Yeah, those cutscenes lasted forever.
It was really Hideo Kojima going nuts saying, hey, I'm just going to make this an interactive movie.
Sure.
And Metal Gear Solid 2, the tanker level specifically, was so perfect in what an espionage game should be.
Sure.
And that's what this feels like. And that's how it's presented as well, is the Metal Gear Solid 2, the tanker level came out as a demo beforehand, like a year before.
Devil May Cry?
With
Zone of the Enders.
Zone of the
Enders, okay.
Which was produced by Hideo Kojima.
Yeah.
And then, so this is coming out as well about a year before The Phantom Pain comes out. But it's just so pure and how you can get through the level, and I don't know. I just fucking love espionage games, and they pulled this off without any of the weirdness that Hideo Kojima can do with his stories. So I'm really hoping that they keep that in The Phantom Pain.
Let's just go ahead and remember the tanker level. So, Phantom Pain, just remember Metal Gear Solid 2.
Right.
Sons of the Patriots might be happening again.
You're going to be running around as a naked riding.
Yeah, exactly.
I forgot how bad that was.
Yep. My top game picks, I've been playing a lot of games that came out in 2013 this year, actually. To be quite honest with you, I mean, obviously Civ 5's on the list. Bunch of other stuff as well, though. Like I've been playing a lot of XCOM.
Enemy Unknown, and Enemy Within. Those games are
absolutely
goddamn wonderful.
Valkyria Chronicles was just released for PC. I don't know what took them so long, but
so good. I got that on PS3 when that came out.
Picking that up, and that game's fantastic. But as far as games that came out this year, I really had a blast playing Transistor. Yeah. So that's probably going to be my pick of the year. Sure. The story was just so great. It wasn't a long game, maybe about 5 hours of gameplay, but the story was pretty gripping and, kind of had a bittersweet ending to it, one that I really didn't see coming either. So it was a bit of a surprise, but beautiful game, real fun to play. And I'm sure they could pick it up cheap right now during the Steam sale, which I'm sure is still going on as this is released. So yeah, if you can shell out $10 or whatever for it, pick it up. I would suggest it.
Yeah.
I also included Crawl on the list.
I was going to say, I want to also say I picked all single player games because that's the stuff I think of when people say, what's your game of the year? But yeah, multiplayer, Crawl. was wonderful.
Crawl's just such a great concept. I mean, they really nailed what it is to have like a really great couch co-op game that just completely changed the genre.
And I can't wait for them to finish a lot of the updates. Like they have like the Hydra update coming sometime too. So, expect us to play a little bit more on the channel, when some bigger updates come out. We kind of reached the limit of stuff to show you guys in our playthroughs. But we all loved Crawl. I mean, it's such an interesting concept, and it really does capture the couch co-op that we wanted to play.
And I mean, we're just such a competitive group too that it's just that's what
works.
That's what's so great about Crawl. It's just that beauty of your friends are basically your enemies.
Well, and
then once you become
switching teams, you keep switching teams, so you're working together and then against each other.
They did such a great job polishing this game too, because when we first got the early edition, the early copy, there were a lot of unbalanced mechanics, that we really picked up on, and they were really receptive to that too, because we weren't pulling punches in our videos. If something didn't seem balanced, something didn't seem fair, then we would say it. And I think that they addressed it. And the final product that they released for Steam, I mean, it's just such a fun game
for sure.
And I mean, it used to be if you weren't the hero, then it was kind of boring. It was kind of grindy. But now it's just as fun playing as a monster as it is playing as the hero.
They definitely balanced it much more to where it's like everyone's always in the running pretty much every time. If you go watch our earlier Crawl videos before the first big update, you'll see that it usually someone runs away with the game.
Right.
And then as we got to the later ones, it was much more like it's very close up until the end. They really balanced it well. So I look forward to seeing what they do more with Crawl. I know they're working hard on more bosses and things like that. And I'd also like to throw in Gang Beasts. Obviously, we've played tons of Gang Beasts. We've played it so much, that you guys, we probably played it more than anybody else.
I mean, by the time that this is out, we're probably on episode 40 by
around
now.
there.
Which is ridiculous. And in the same vein, we're a little burnt out on it.
We played a lot. We played a lot of Gang Beasts.
We have a ton of fun playing it, but at the same time, there's obviously, we can't expect anything new from it.
Yeah.
So I do hope that they release more updates for that.
I hope they release the workshop for it.
For sure. Because what we love now is doing the little mini game stuff that you guys invented for us. That really has reinvigorated it to where you guys are like, okay, go to this level and then, do bucking Broncos on the trucks.
Bucking Broncos was a revelation.
It's tons of fun. Or use props in this level and do a ball pit or do that. And those kinds of things have really made that game really grow some legs. And I think, just for all of y'all, I think it is the perfect get together with some buddies and play it around.
For sure.
Just it's a fantastic
these are great couch co-op games. And really, I mean, that's what I've loved about this year in Stumpt with you guys is getting back to the root of what it was to game with your friends.
That's how I gamed as a kid. That's what I loved as gaming.
And so,
absolutely.
Both Crawl and Gang Beasts are early access games, so they technically didn't release this year.
Right.
I will also give honorable mentions to both Tiny Brains and Towerfall, which both did release this year.
Both those were fantastic.
And both of those also as well. I guess Tiny Brains you can play online, but both can be played local co-op and amazing
Invite
games.
your friends over, have some beers, play some games, sit next to each other.
So good.
It's fun. It's fun to do.
If you have all four of those games, then you are set for a while.
I have to say another good co-op is Timmy Bibbles.
Oh yeah,
Timmy Bibble. We love Timmy Bibble.
Yep.
Although
that did release this year.
It's not even early access yet. It's not even.
No, but it did. I thought it got out of greenlit. You can actually buy it now.
No.
But anyways, it's still a great game.
Fantastic.
It's one of those games
we'll be
that
playing
it's
more
a
soon.
perfect couch co-op.
Yeah.
It's taken us time to find the LittleBigPlanet screwed us today.
Yeah. But that's in the past now.
It's in the past now.
You're living in the past, man.
But yeah, Timmy Bibble, also fantastic. We loved it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to wrap up this segment, this year in review. Good year, all in all.
Great year.
Looking forward to 2015, even better year.
Well, can we just really quickly, I know we're going super late, but we had also talked about our things we're looking forward to next year. I just want to say, I'm super looking forward to Evolve. I think we're going to probably play a ton of that on the channel. We hope to be able to get some people to collaborate with us on that because it's a 5-player game. So it's perfect for us to be Stumped versus person. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully we can make that happen. And I also just want to say I'm looking forward to a little game called Until Dawn, which is a game that looks like a Quantic Dream game where it's a full-on or a Telltale game where it's an interactive kind of adventure type game, but it's based on a slasher flick essentially. It's essentially a slasher movie. I am super stoked.
That's PS4 exclusive.
It's PS4 exclusive.
Right.
When that comes out, I'm going to be at your house playing it. Super excited. I grew up on slasher movies, and it's like exactly great. And the other thing is there's a game that was kickstarted or has been trying to get kickstarted that's a similar game, but it's like a Left 4 Dead meets slasher game.
Right.
So one person plays as the slasher, Jason or whatever.
That looks
and then
good.
the other people play as like classes that
Very
are based
nice.
off of high school cliches.
Ah.
I'm super excited for 2015 to be the year of the slasher game.
I'm excited, and I don't know when it's going to come out. No Man's Sky.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's
I-
That's great.
I'm going to call it now, not 2015.
Not
No.
2015.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Man,
I'm going to call it right now.
That's like saying Last Guardian is what I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
year.
But that game looks absolutely
It
beautiful.
does look wonderful.
and I am just excited to play it. I'm also excited to see people at PAX next year.
Yes, we're totally
because we're definitely going to do it.
We're going to try and get at least one of us up there, if not all of us. We're
Yep.
really,
If we
really
can't
wanna
do
go.
it, I'm going to try to break in.
Yep.
And
Yep.
yep.
We got cats on the table.
I want to say Star Wars Battlefront is coming out next year.
I'm super excited for that too.
Oh, is it?
I'm super excited for that
Yes.
too.
There's
I do
a.
love Battlefront.
I hope it's another good one because Battlefront 2 was amazing.
Is it? I think Dice has it now. Is that who's making
Yes.
it?
think so, yep.
And I
Yeah.
mean, they made Bad Company 2, right?
Dice. I mean, they've made all the
Battlefields, but I mean,
Battlefields.
Bad Company 2 is one of my favorite.
for sure.
multiplayer
Battlefield.
combat
Bad
games.
Company 2 is by far my favorite Battlefield.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't say Fortnite.
Oh,
I'm super looking forward to Fortnite.
yes.
Yeah.
I am
And
also looking forward to
Rick
Fortnite.
is the only one among us that's actually played it.
Yeah, they did. They just closed their first open alpha.
Yep.
And it is. I mean, honestly, a lot has changed from the alpha compared to what I played earlier, about 6 months ago. But still, very fun game.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's going to be great for 4 players. I was stuck in one class during the alpha, which kind of sucked. I was the construction worker. I have a lot more fun playing like the kind of ninja type character. But yeah, I mean, you build forts. You have to defend this this crazy like gate that once you activate it, you're just invaded by zombies. And so it's all about scavenging resources and building the biggest, baddest fort that you can.
Fart fort.
Gary.
Yeah, the biggest Gary fort. The biggest, baddest Gary fort in the world.
Man, Gary's got to be one of the top stump moments as well.
It's gonna be a blast, and it seems like the game's pretty polished right now. I mean, they've still got some work to do, but it's definitely playable.
And that's another one that I don't think there's an official release date. So I just hope that it is
Yeah.
2015.
yeah,
All those sound like games that we're going to be playing on the channel.
Oh yeah,
Sounds like to me.
for sure.
absolutely. Yeah. Anything else anybody wants to add?
I think we're good.
All right, then let's close it up and let's head on into.
Stumpt's Adventure Corner.
All right, so this is going to be a fairly short one. I didn't have a lot of time to go into the minutia of a lot of our adventures. So instead, this week, I'm going to just sort of explain to you what your characters did this week.
Oh, okay. Passive.
Yeah. So this week on Stumpt Adventures, Jasmine,
Hi.
while trying to meet up with Rick, and again, I'm just explaining to you. This isn't happening in the moment. This is what happened to your character this week. So at some point this week, you tried to meet up with Rick, and while you were walking up to what you thought was his house, you tried to knock on his door, and instead you ended up knocking someone in the face with your fist
Oh shit, was it Rick?
that was standing next to Rick's door.
Next to Rick's door.
Yep.
Oh shit.
Who was standing next to Rick's door?
Later on, you accidentally joined a poker game. When you
I feel like Mr. Magoo in these things.
you accidentally joined a poker game when you sat down at the wrong table and you didn't notice until someone shoved cards into your hand.
Oh shit, did I win?
Surprisingly, you did win the poker game and you took home a large sack of gold.
I have a really great poker face. You know, I don't know what's in my hand.
Yeah.
So I guess I could. Yeah.
Yeah,
there you
you're
go.
really good at it.
With your amazing newfound wealth, Price suggested that you go onto this amazing spa vacation package
That sounds nice.
that he sold you on.
Is Blue allowed to come with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you were quite enjoying yourself on this this spa package until you realized that it was your own apartment and Price had just rearranged your furniture.
How dare you? I had it in the. I knew my own patterns, routines. Now that you changed up everything, I'm a little lost again.
It's like an adventure. You get to relearn everything.
It's like you don't go to a blind man's house and move his furniture.
That's exactly
what I did.
Rick, you, as a New Year's resolution, decided that you would try to cut back on your drinking. During one of your sober nights out, you got mugged And had you been more intoxicated, you might have been able to fend off the mugger. But instead, the mugger got the better of you and had you cornered. You were about to hand over your cash when Jasmine punched the dude in the face on the side of the head and said, "Hello, anybody home?" You decide to take this as a sign, and instead of cutting back, you decide to redouble your efforts to get more drunk. And to also never mess with Jasmine, who knew that she was apparently a badass.
I am badass.
Price suckered Jasmine out of some coin.
Yeah.
Attempted to buy some stuff from the local apothecary using his newfound coin, and ended up spending the night in jail because the gold coins ended up to be chocolate coins. While imprisoned, you overheard that...
I didn't know they were chocolate.
While imprisoned, you overheard your cellmate grumble about how some punk named Rick stole his chocolate coins from a poker game. And once he gets out, he was going to mug him. I joined a poker game using Rick's name and ended up losing to Jasmine and paid her in chocolate coins.
Wait, I'm a little confused in this timeline. So I go to Rick's. So I go to Rick's and I punch a guy.
Yep.
Then I go to a poker game.
Yep.
And then Price steals it from me.
Yep.
Rick gets mugged, but I save him.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the poker game afterwards.
Yep.
The guy that mugged Rick
was in prison with me.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Rick, with quotations, was the one who was actually at the poker game, and that was Ash.
It all adds up.
Yep.
Did we just find out that Ash is fake Rick?
No, we didn't.
Imposter Rick.
Well, you kind of wrote yourself into that situation.
So ends this week's Stumped Adventure.
Where's the 20-sided dice? I want to roll for LASIK.
Yeah, LASIK.
We don't have a 20-sided dice.
Damn it.
Somebody bring up a random number generator.
Next time.
Just go.
I'm just going to have to be blind this week.
Yep.
Continue to be blind.
Pick a number between 1 and 10.
Maybe
You're
next
wrong.
year, Jasmine. Maybe next year.
Just not in the cards.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. Thanks.
All right, everybody. This has been our year-end Stumptcast.
Woo!
I want to say a heartfelt thank you to all of our listeners, all of our subscribers, all of our viewers. You guys are what makes our world go round.
Yeah.
You're the reason we eat, sleep, and breathe. We love you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You're the best.
And I want to give a special thanks to everyone that's been putting up reviews onto the iTunes podcast.
Yes.
There's been some new ones up there, and it's been really nice.
Yes, it definitely helps us. iTunes is a mystery. Nobody can really crack the secrets of iTunes, but it does work on ratings. So, the more ratings we have, the higher it ranks in iTunes.
Yep.
So the more likely some new listeners might be to stumble onto our humble little podcast. So your reviews really do help, guys, and we really do appreciate them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we love reading your comments. We love the new fan art.
Heck
We've been seeing so much fan art.
So good.
And
You
it's
guys are
just
the best.
amazing. I just completely enjoy it.
Every time I always squee out loud.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you want to make some fan art and you aren't sure where to post it, you can always email it to stumpedgamers@gmail.com, or you can post it on the Stumped Gamers subreddit.
Yep.
Or tweet it at us, or put it
Absolutely.
on all over the place.
There are a lot of ways, and any way that you choose, as long as it gets to us, we're going to be happy as a clam.
But I'll say the worst place to post it is a YouTube comment.
Yeah.
We're not going to see it there.
We're not going to see it there.
I try really hard to read everybody's comments.
Yeah.
And I try really hard to reply to everybody. Like, if it's not under my name, it's under Stumped.
Yeah.
It's been getting so much harder now because every day we've gotten so many more commenters.
Yep.
And we just can't reply
it's
to
wonderful.
them all.
And just know that, especially on my videos, my individual videos, I do read every single comment.
Yeah.
And even if I don't reply to you, I have read what you have said.
Yeah.
I do read all of the comments.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. We do. We love it and keep it up.
Yep.
All right? Keep it up in the new world.
Into the new
Into the new year. 2015 onward. Woo! All right. Until then, see y'all later.
Bye.